Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
We'd like to start the show, as we love starting the show, by giving a little shout out to a crew that I like to refer to as the Full Nels crew. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S. They're all Full Nels, those three. Jack Oven, another one. Marilyn Biscuit, Dave Ernsberger, they keep coming, this Full Nels crew, they're amazing. Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, Rocketman76, Mike Dog Skip, Rex Reese, and Matt Murray is my favourite podcaster. Okay, so someo's having a laugh there. I'm cool with it.
I mean,
is
Matt,
this you, Matt?
Matt, it's very, I was going to say, very kind of you to sign up. You could have just given us the money directly, but
This is
Patreon wouldn't need to take their cut.
It's a way to get money out of my account. This is a kind of a fraudulent situation. I mean, I've got money I need to get rid of.
Money laundering.
I'm going to sub
So we got a month for that, have we? At the very least, a month of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
I mean, hopefully, whoever it is, bloody nice person. Life right now.
Look, I'm cool with that. You're Full Nels. You get to do whatever you want.
It did kind of cut out at the end, though. So could you say that name again?
No, well, it might have cut out over Discord, but we're recording locally, so it would have been fine.
But we should be just in. It's probably best to be safe, isn't it?
No, because then I've got to do them all again.
Yeah,
and because you can't.
I don't think there's any need.
You can't repeat.
Just do the last one.
No, you just maybe listen again next week. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We really, really do appreciate it. And it's not just the Full Nels crew that do keep us afloat. It's also everyone else that supports us over at patreon.com/TCGS. Thank you so much for all your support this month. It means the world to us. So go over there. Look at our various different tiers and sign up to patreon.com/TCGS. Right. Let's get on to feedback, Matt. They all love it last week, did they? I assume they... Should we just skip it this week? Because they
generally
loved it.
Yeah, they do usually, yeah.
Good.
I think, Matt, couldn't you just say thumbs up? If it's fine, and then we just move on.
Across the board, positive.
Okay, thumbs up. Next section, let's go. News. Let's not. We're going to start with Rex Reese, one of our newest Full Nels members. Hi all, just wanted to say you're all doing a fantastic job and well done for giving TCGS a long overdue female voice. Obviously Sarah did a great job and I can't wait to see more diverse representation on your platform. Just wanted to say you've been a consistency through a very uncertain time for me, and although I and many others this year have been through so much, it felt as if though three friends that can't hear me or know who I am have been there for me.
Wait there.
Hang on.
Wait there. There's four of us on the show.
Yeah.
So which one isn't the friend?
Who's not his mate?
Bloody good point.
I've got a feeling it's me. I think that's me.
Three friends and David.
God.
You've seen me through so much and I've come on the other end. The last 3 years have seen me withstand a big health issue, leaving the military, becoming briefly homeless and receiving therapy for mental health issues. But now I find myself happy in a comfortable financial position and will be proud to call myself a member of the Full Nels crew. You're much more than just guys talking about games. You are consistency and respite from the stresses of life. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, thanks,
Cheers, man.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's incredible. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love getting messages like that. I can relate to them. And thanks to anyone that sends us in messages like that. But that really hits home.
We do,
Cheers, mate.
yeah. I mean, because people send stuff like this, and it's usually starts with like, oh, this isn't for the show, or don't feel like you have to read this out. But Reece didn't put that on his, so we've read it out, and thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Just to confirm, we get bloody loads of these.
Yeah, we get these all the time. Actually, I am, if anything, bored of it. To be honest,
I am a little bit worried about what messages we've sent out with that because, Sean, you're absolutely right. The majority of these say, not for the show or whatever, and that's cool. Because people want to be private, and that's completely understandable. But it does sound like we get loads of them. But because he's a Full Nels member, we've read that one out. That makes it sound awful. That's not the case. But yeah, no, we feel you, man. We feel you. We've all been going through some shit. I've got a feeling most people have. It's weird that we've all gathered around this podcast, isn't it? Bizarre.
It's not even good.
Bloody good point there. Gavinson Savannah, +1 vote for me for Mass Effect. Just finished the Legendary Edition and really enjoyed it and would love to see someone experience it for the first time. If not, I'll settle for Matt doing a VR playthrough of Resi 7. Well, Resi 7 is not going to happen in VR.
Before we move on, where are we sitting with your streaming return, Matt?
Sometimes I do want to, and then I think, can I be bothered with this grief for Sunday night? And I'm like, you know what, actually, I feel good not. But I do miss it. Work's calming down. I thought, okay, we just delivered like a big project. I mean, like Zombieland's out now on Steam. Not sure if you're aware. And so I was like, I've got more time now. And like, it'd be great to get streaming again. But I don't know. I do want to, but then I think about all the grief, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
See, Matt, right? Okay, look. I want you to play Mass Effect for one main reason, because you absolutely love that shit. Yeah. And Mass Effect, especially when you get to 2, it's mind-blowingly good, right? It's such a good game. And, it's full of moral choices and all that sort of stuff. Shit that you usually love.
Would it be a good stream game, though? Is it?
Does it matter? You've just got to sit there and play the game.
Yeah, you play it for your enjoyment.
It doesn't matter. Just play it for your enjoyment, checking on the chat. But more importantly, you can't get much grief for it, can you? Because it's not like a puzzle game, so it's not like people are going to be going, "Oh, how have you not done that puzzle?" It's not a hard game.
The only grief he could possibly get would be people like criticising, like choices he makes.
I was going to say the decisions. I can see.
Yeah, I know, but the decisions are very much like one way or the other, isn't it? It's not like. You know what I mean?
People could criticise the decisions, but ultimately, it would be no fun if Matt got everything perfect and everyone survived and he never fell out with anyone.
That would suck.
It's like James with his Hitman streams and stuff. It's like, sometimes he just starts joking people out.
No, but that's why it's got the job done. Got the job done.
You did get the job done. But no, it's. I think with Mass Effect, as I said, like as you said, Sean, but I was shouting about this just after Mass Effect 2 come out. I could not understand why people wanted to get the perfect ending in that game. Mm-hmm. You miss so many emotional moments, so many incredibly emotional moments by doing that, that I don't think you can fuck it up.
Yeah, it'd be good,
make a good series, Matt.
It'd be really good.
Make a good series.
It would, and I think you'd enjoy it as well, Matt. I think the game you'd definitely enjoy.
Yeah, it's sincerely really good. Like everyone we've heard from who's played the remake, remaster, whatever. Everyone seems to think it holds up. I wasn't sure it would, but everyone seems bang into it who's actually played it. So,
and also I finished the controls of that vehicle, because I did play the first couple of hours with it, but like bugs in that vehicle was like I gave up.
Yeah, look, one's not great. The story's meant to be amazing, and from what I've heard of the story, it is amazing, but it wasn't that great to play. But don't worry, 2 is just round the corner and it's utterly incredible. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that with you now, Matt. I'm going to leave that with you. Okay. And just have a little, mull it over in your head. Yeah? Is that the phrase? Just think it over. Have a little think, and, we'll see where you are next week, all right?
Okay, yeah, I have a think.
Sounds ominous.
Take that away with you.
Sounds ominous.
I miss the Sunday crew. I miss streaming, and I miss all that. But anyway, what I have a think. Garrison carries on. I've been playing Skyward Sword HD with a Pro controller, and I agree that it's a total pain to have to hold down the shoulder button when you want to move the camera, which is most of the time outside combat. If they just added an option to make it a toggle, so you could change the right stick between sword and camera mode by pressing the shoulder button, this would improve it heaps. You are usually locked in combat anyway, so you don't need the camera very often when you're fighting, so being able to look around without holding the button in and out when you're out of combat would improve it so much. Also sucks that Nintendo tied the fast travel to an amiibo, although I created my own one by programming in NFC tags that only cost 25p. Still a dick move by Nintendo, though.
Nah, I've heard that a lot of people do that, program them. James, you've never been tempted by this?
No, I've not. No, never gone for that.
Oh, you've used you've used amiibos a lot.
Yeah, we've got quite a few because the kids bought some, I bought some, and also we had the like when there was an Animal Crossing game that came out that was for like 3DS, which was like you use the cards on that as well. So Rachel had like loads, and you could use them from that as well. Yeah, we got quite a few. Although most of them are broken now because Link's head has been glued on so many times because it gets He gets broken
Maybe
constantly.
we could get Link and my Luigi together. They could be two headless Nintendo characters. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that happen for a picture for the gram.
Oh, yes.
That sound
that.
cool?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very cool, Grandad.
Think about the legs.
That is it for feedback. So any of you have any comments on that? No, you don't. At tcgs.co/deartcgs is where you can go to leave a comment or feedback or whatever you want.
James, let's hear the news.
Okay, well, following on from last week, there's been more developments with the Activision Blizzard story and also with Ubisoft as well. And I mean, over 1,000 former and current employees of Activision Blizzard have signed a letter which has condemned the company's response so far. So the letter called for Activision Blizzard to recognise the seriousness of the accusations and demonstrate compassion for the victims of harassment and assault. So this is part of what the letter said. It says, to put it clearly and unequivocally, our values as employees are not accurately reflected in the words and actions of our leadership. We believe these statements have damaged our ongoing quest for equality inside and outside of our industry. So then also, a little bit later, 500 current and former Ubisoft employees have also signed an open letter regarding how things have been going on at Ubisoft. Because, we've heard all this stuff from, like, Yves Guillemot saying, it's all in hand, we're dealing with it. They obviously don't agree. And they also sort of said that they wanted to stand in solidarity with the employees of Activision Blizzard. They said, it is clear from the frequency of these reports that there is a widespread and deeply ingrained culture of abusive behaviour within the industry. It should no longer be a surprise to anyone, employees, executives, journalists or fans, that these heinous acts are going on. It is time to stop being shocked. We must demand real steps to be taken to prevent them. Those responsible must be held accountable for their actions. So most of the letter is directed at Ubisoft's management, where they just basically said, we, the undersigned, have had enough of this. And then they said, we have seen nothing more than a year of kind words, empty promises, and an inability or unwillingness to remove known offenders. We no longer trust your commitment to address these issues at their core. You need to do more. That does not mean more training sessions that go ignored by the people who need them most, and that does not mean more reassurances and kind words. It means real, impactful action. The only way to fix fix something so ingrained is to remove the pillars that are complicit with it, be it by actively taking part or supporting it. By choosing profit over our security, you are literally toying with our lives. We should not have to choose between work and our safety. So that was the letter, but they also have three key demands. This is the Ubisoft staff of what they would like. They said they want to stop promoting and moving known offenders from studio to studio, team to team with no repercussions. This cycle needs to stop. We want a collective seat at the table to have meaningful say in how Ubisoft as a company moves forward from here. And also cross-industry collaboration to agree to a set of ground rules and processes that all studios can use to handle these offences in the future. This collaboration must heavily involve employees in non-management positions and union representatives. By being the first to start this collaboration, Ubisoft has the opportunity to be at the forefront of creating a better future for the games industry. We demand this work be done in collaboration with employees at all levels. So, following this, Ubisoft have responded. They said, we have carefully read the letter signed by former and current Ubisoft employees. We have a deep respect for the engagement of our teams who are pushing for changes within our industry. We want to be very clear that we take this letter and the issues it raises very seriously. Over the past year, we have committed to engaging with our employees to enact fundamental changes. Many of these changes have been driven by internal feedback and insights shared by our teams, and we are grateful for this ongoing communication. Ubisoft has made significant and meaningful changes that seek to create a safe and inclusive work environment for all, and there is still more work to be done. We absolutely stand behind these efforts and the positive impact they have had on our company culture, while also recognising that we must continue to engage with our employees to ensure we are creating a workplace where they feel valued, supported, and most importantly, safe. And then Activision Blizzard also responded saying, we hear you and want to loudly declare solidarity with you, adding, we believe we stand with you and support you. So that's basically been...
The fuck kind of response is that?
It's mad, isn't it?
Does that anger anyone else's?
To be honest, the Activision one is insane. I mean, it's just
I was still stuck on Ubisoft saying we've made significant and meaningful changes. Like, you've just been told you haven't by the people you're supposed to be helping.
Yeah.
Like,
and then what's it saying? We're actively like those three demands that the employees are making are completely valid.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're completely acceptable, and surprisingly, they're completely supportive of the fucking company.
Mm-hmm.
They're like sort of giving them a hand.
Yeah,
they're not saying
they're
not even
that will help you go forward.
Yeah, they're not even saying like fucking sack all the managers. Do you know what I mean? Like they could be a lot less reasonable, and probably I'd still agree with them. Yeah, like and it's as you say, they're saying like, look, this is an opportunity for Ubisoft to do the right thing and to be, representative of how these things can be dealt with.
And they've done the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck? We want you to feel valued.
Yeah.
Accept those 3 demands then.
Yeah.
Like, that's
And
the
also,
point.
if that's
Otherwise,
the case,
they're not valued.
Activision Blizzard need to not say that they're fighting this other court case, saying it's all a load of rubbish as well, because that's kind of undermining their core argument here. It's insane.
It's been...
This is absolutely mad, isn't it?
It is.
This must be so frustrating for those staff. We want to value your... What the fuck? So come out and say, we are going to activate these 3 demands. We're going to do this. We're going to address this. Yeah. They've basically give them a way out of this. And I'm not saying out of this. This does not make up for any of the discretions in the past. It doesn't, and that stuff still needs to be addressed. But they're offering them a valid way forward. That's the right way of putting it, not a way out, a valid way put forward, right? How you're not accepting these straight away and moving forward while also addressing issues of the past is absolutely beyond me. I do not understand it. And do you know what? Fair play to all those employees that put that out there, put their name to it. And because I said it last week, it can't be an easy thing to do.
No.
Must be a horrific... It's a life decision to put your name to something like that, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Because, it's ridiculous to even say that, because why, on paper, why wouldn't you put your name forward to say, I think our staff, the people that I work with, should feel safe? Like, why would it be a bad thing to put your name to that? Well, I'll tell you why, because it's their livelihoods on the line and it's a reputation on the line, which is an indication of the world we live in, right? But fuck me, that response it's just unbelievable. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's
how does he stay CEO of Ubisoft after this? How does that?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Because happen now?
You'd be thinking that surely shareholders must be getting a bit, nervous as well by this stage and thinking that something needs to be done. It's just,
because do you know what annoys me? It shouldn't take that.
No,
it shouldn't take the shareholders going, fucking hell, mate.
But if you look at the way that they've behaved so far, it probably, I can't see how else it can happen, because even
shareholders are only going to take notice when the next monthly meeting comes around. They're like, well, figures are down. But they'll look at figures or this and that and say, okay, what's the sales on our new game? And if it hasn't changed, then they won't be bothered. Even with all this uproar.
if that's the issue, then they're terrible, terrible people. To sit. And there's some people rolling their eyes and goes, oh yeah, shit. What, shareholders are terrible human beings? Well, yeah, obviously. But this is if what's concerning you about your investments is not the moral problems that are going into the businesses that you're investing in, but but the money, and if the money's still rolling in, you're fucked.
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
Fucked. Oh man, fuck! This is mental.
A couple of things. When I hear about this, and you hear about people say, or the company saying that we are doing stuff, I like to believe that's the case, because you can't imagine everyone in that company is horrendous. Surely there must have people in HR or somewhere trying to make changes. But then you look at one of the key demands. One of the key demands is literally, let's agree to a set of ground rules and processes. So there must be no processes, or any processes there are just so paper thin just to appease a checklist somewhere.
Can you imagine? Look, who was, I can't remember her name. Who was it who was brought into Ubisoft to supposedly sort all this out? But can you imagine getting a new job and a year later, hundreds of people within the company are writing a letter saying you haven't fucking done anything yet, and your response is, "Yeah, I have."
Yeah. No.
Oh my god! Imagine.
No one's saying the whole company, everyone in the company is a bad person, right? No one's saying that. And, we've mentioned that in the past. It doesn't feel right to mention it at this point because this is a completely different thing we're looking at. What we're looking at is employees calling out, and in what looks like a very reasonable, understandable way, right? Maybe too reasonable, some might say. But their suggestions are more than reasonable, and we're watching a company say, we've done something about it, we're still working on it, we want to value you, our employees, right? We're going to ignore the main demands that you're making. It's crazy to me. I don't get it.
It went a step further as well. Oh, sorry, Dave, you still talking?
Is this really going to affect their bottom line in terms of income, in terms of how much money they're bringing in?
You would hope so, that it will, because there is reputational damage.
No, sorry. No, you're misunderstanding the question. Them accepting the demands and them accepting that they need to move forward, is that going to affect their bottom line? My argument would be no.
Yeah, why would it?
Exactly. Well, so why the fuck are they not doing it?
Because this is what's so wild. It's like when we've talked about like crunch and stuff in the past, is that basically, all the evidence says that it's not even an efficient way to do things. And it's the same with, it's the people, the abusers are not so fucking valuable. And each one of those abusers is preventing, God knows how many other people of doing their best work.
Yeah.
Because people don't feel safe. No one can work well when they're stressed up in it.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, how is it that someone's making the decision that these abusers are so special that they should be treated like royalty and looked after above the dozens and dozens and dozens of people who are, as you say, probably either not doing their best work or just having to leave because they can't, because they choose not to put up with it. It's just, and
it feels crass to talk about money as well, like I did just then. It feels crass to do that because it makes it sound like, oh, well, it's kind of understandable if they're going to lose money. That's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that clearly there are horrible people in important places at that company. And why they're being protected is totally beyond me.
Yeah.
It's totally beyond me. I don't get it. I never will. And do you know what? All we can do, we can shout and holler about it as much as we like. We're not involved. We're not in that industry, and we haven't had the experiences that the staff have had there, right? So it is...
No, definitely not.
When people say, oh, yeah, I know how you feel, we can't know how you feel. We can't know how those people feel. And that must... I can't imagine what they're going through. But all you got to do is stand up and applaud the people that are standing up and speaking... saying what they have to say.
Absolutely.
And again, for the people that aren't doing that, that's fine too, because we don't know your situation. And if there's a reason why you're not doing that, that's a valid reason and not whatever. We don't know your situation, so we're not putting down people that haven't put their name to this sort of thing. But fair play to those that have, because that's difficult. That is difficult.
They can't stop themselves, because then the Activision Blizzard executive Frances Townsend, who is the executive vice president for corporate affairs at Activision Blizzard, she put out an article. She tweeted an article actually from the Atlantic the other day about on the problem of whistleblowing.
Yeah, basically saying that whistleblowing is bad.
And then people were kicking off saying what the fuck, and also why now? And then she was blocking Activision Blizzard employees who criticised her tweet.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's blocking her own employees. For this, it's just...
Didn't Activision... Well, I think Bobby Kotick has flown in a legal team to deal with the... supposedly to deal with the problems, and it turns out said legal team has a a whole article on their website about how to avoid, or how basically like union busting, like how to avoid letting your employees form unions and stuff. And it's like
there's also been people have been warning about there's companies that are like saying they're offering support, but actually it's union busting is what they're really at, which is which is pretty despicable as well.
Oh, I don't know enough
so
about that.
Fucking transparent, it's ridiculous. I just hope like you say, it's cool that people are speaking out, and it's especially cool that all the Ubisoft employees have offered solidarity with Activision Blizzard's employees. I just hope like they just sort of keep amplifying each other, going forward. And I don't think we'll have heard. I mean, we won't have heard the last of it from these two companies. I think there's probably going to be other publishers and devs as well, where this stuff is probably going on.
You've got to imagine this is obviously a huge problem.
Yeah,
it's going to come out about more.
So it's as much as I would hope that it's not happening anywhere else, it's starting to feel like this is just going to end up being a fucking tidal wave, isn't it? And I think it's going to be harder and harder to ignore. Like I think there are people within Ubisoft who, up until 2 weeks ago, thought they'd gotten away with it, and thought, yeah, do you know what? This is blowing over. Actually, this is okay. And now it's not looking like that at all.
Eves clearly thought that, didn't he?
It's
like like especially with the conference they did, where it's just like no mention of it whatsoever, and just pretending like everything's fine when it's clearly not. Yeah. It's just
Yeah, hopefully this will actually finally start. We'll start actually finally have unions in video games, and I think I'm not sure if it's a podcast or whatever I heard the week, but saying like of all the publishers, of all the people, it would matter if it's actually Activision Blizzard who gets to have the first union, and then that will hopefully start a tidal wave across the industry of other people starting their own.
Well, look, listen, if you're in that industry and you're involved in any way in any of this, then all we can do as video game podcasters that do this in our spare time is wish you the best and hope that things improve sooner rather than later, because it's horrific what's gone on there.
Okay, so also I'm going to move on to something else, which is always a bit difficult.
Yeah, look, we're not professionals, and we're transitioning from something like that to this. So let's
it's always a bit that. But anyway, so Facebook have halted Oculus Quest 2 sales because apparently
really?
Yeah, apparently the headset is causing skin irritation.
Oh, this is the foam stuff, right?
Yeah. So they've halted sales, and there's been a recall issued as well. But they're also introducing these new silicone covers instead, and these fit over the Quest 2, and they're removable, and apparently new models will come with them, like included as well. I mean, Sean, have you had this at all?
Yeah, so the first I heard about this was I just got an email from Oculus saying, this issue's been found. If you want to order
they weren't like, have you got a rash?
Yeah, how are you feeling? So basically they offered this free replacement cover, and so I've said yes, because why not? I've had no issues with mine. It's curious that because the headset's been out for is it a year now, thereabouts.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. I think it might have even been longer than that.
So it can't have been. Surely they've changed something about the manufacturing or something for this to now come out. But I don't know.
Not necessarily.
No, it's just,
it could be the percentage of people coming forward as
true.
Now
it's added up and starting to form a bigger picture. But I mean, it's one of those you sort of at a glance you sort of look at it and it's like, well, I was giving some people a bit of a rash. Is that really? So it's physically harming people. You can't. You can't fuck around.
Apparently there was in an April update. Like Facebook said that it had confirmed with dermatologists and toxicologists that the substances in it can cause skin discomfort in the manufacturing process, but apparently it's extremely low number of people it affects, but it's still people, so it's still to be dealt with.
Totally. I'm surprised they don't, still sell them, but with a disclaimer. But again, maybe that's too big a risk legally and morally.
It must be.
I was surprised to learn that they've just halted sales completely, but. Probably the right thing to do, I guess. But I'll let you know how I get on with my silicone replacement.
Yeah.
Can't wait. You turn up to the next live show with a big red ring around your face.
There's also a new Quest 2 coming on August 24th, which is a 128 gig model.
Okay.
This
right.
has
So
been
same.
This has been leaked for a while. Yeah, so they were placing the 64 with the 128, same price. Obviously, the 128 one will come with the new silicon covers as standard.
I kind of want one of those number 2s. The first Oculus that I've got is starting to slow down now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a massive improvement in every way. Really. Apart from the head strap, which I'm still not a huge fan of.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a quiet month, and then I'm just gonna do a load of upgrades on the Quest 2, get decent straps, and you can get the prescription lenses for them as well.
Yeah.
Because ages ago I was like, I don't want to get prescription lenses because what if someone else wants to use it? No one else has used it ever since I got it. So fuck it.
Yeah, those days are over a little bit, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah. So what? How much is the Pro Strap thing they were selling?
It's 50 quid for the official one.
Yeah, but there were other better ones. I mean, the amount of people you see in the Oculus subreddit who say, "Oh, wow, my Elite strap broke again."
Really?
Really?
Yes. I mean, there's a company called VR Cover. This isn't an ad, but they do decent stuff. A lot of people basically bought VR Cover stuff to replace the head strap and also the thing that attaches to the controllers. And loads of other stuff. There's loads of other manufacturers out there now that will create kind of custom third-party stuff to add on to your Quest to make it a little bit more comfy.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay. Next story is that we had Annapurna Interactive did a showcase last week.
Right, just remind me, right, and don't. I know James is itching to bring up the Matt Murray joke again, but remind me, what are Annapurna famous for? What games are they?
Well, all the good ones.
You go on. Which ones?
I'm waiting for Matt to answer. Is that not what you wanted?
I was trying to avoid that.
Okay.
I just want to know. Go on.
Well, I mean, Outer Wilds, it was a big one. They also did... what was it called? The mobile one that was about the love story that everyone really liked.
Sino Wild Hearts?
They also did that, but yeah.
Kentucky Route Zero, Telling Lies, Florence, Donut County.
Someone's just Googled.
Yeah.
I'm on the website.
Florence, that was the one, yeah.
So, what remains of Edith Finch, Gone Home, they haven't put out a bad game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Go on.
It says here.
Yeah, so they had the showcase, which I...
Well, is anyone debating that?
No, not at all.
That
was just a funny joke from Sean, man. Don't worry, don't get defensive.
Every time I say it, but they don't put out bad games.
Well, Telling Lies, I don't think Telling Lies was that great, but
Okay,
anyway,
let's get on with the news.
Okay, so they showed off a bunch of stuff. The first, should I go through this in order, yeah?
Yeah, because it was pretty much all great, I thought.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Famously, as we all know, they haven't put out a bad game, so...
Yeah.
Go on, let's go.
So we had The Artful Escape, which I really like the look of. I thought this was great. This is the, rock, rock sort of thing, wasn't it? With,
it's like a rock opera sort of...
Yeah, platform kind of thing. That looked really nice, I thought. Anyone else? No?
It's one of those where it's like watching the trailer, I was sort of like, I hope this is barely a game, to be honest. It just looked like a really cool, just like a wild music video with, obviously some interactivity, but I'd be fine if there wasn't loads, I think.
Okay.
It looks fantastic. I'll be very interested to know what the actual story is about, but yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Then we had Neon White, which is from Donut County developer Ben Esposito, and it's a single-player speed-running FPS, which is coming on Switch and PC.
Yeah, we saw this on... Was this on a Nintendo Direct a while back?
It was, yeah. I think it was on a Nintendo one, yeah.
Yeah, this looks really interesting. I think I'm going to be too shit to play it properly. But yeah, this is the one, so it's it's FPS, you're darting around these really short levels, there's a series of enemies to kill and an exit to find. But there's, as you're running around, you're picking up cards, which you can either shoot, so you can use them to shoot, or you can discard them, and by discarding them, it gives you a movement ability. So one... That's
right,
So there's a shotgun one, so you either fire it and it's a shotgun blast, or you can use it as a dash, for example. And then there's all different ones. And it's, to be fair, the video that they showed at this, presentation, really sort of showed how that works and how it's like, look, here's one level being done, in different ways, and how there's like secrets in every single level to find, which again, needs you to sort of figure out sort of weird combinations of these movement abilities and stuff. It looks really fucking interesting. Nothing like Donut County either, which is cool. But really intrigued, but I think it might be too much for my shitty brain and fingers. But we'll see.
James, what do you think? It's got cards in it, James. Are you in or out?
That was the problem, because I saw that and I was like, this looks pretty good. And then as soon as I saw there was cards, I was thinking, can't it just be anything else apart from cards? Can't we be holding something else?
By the looks of it, you just have like a hand of cards which you're just sort of constantly using and picking up and using.
Yeah, it's not like building a deck.
Yeah, it's not
like
a deck builder. So I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's just like picking up items. Like, I hope the next Mario Kart game replaces the items you pick up in a track with cards.
Yeah,
because James would be furious.
Those are fucking cards. Anyway,
why? What?
James,
what
you've never played one. You're always like, oh, I'm sick of these. You haven't played any of them. I don't understand. What is a problem?
I just don't like card games. I just don't like Happy Families, all that stuff. I just don't like it.
But that's
it's
not
good.
I think this is slightly different from Happy Families.
I played Snap, so poker can go fuck itself.
Hold on, you liked poker when we played poker.
That's the only game I like playing. I don't really like any others that much. I just
it's the only. It's one of the only games you have
other than
played,
Happy Families.
Yeah.
Who's that character from Happy Families? Something the baker. What's his name?
I don't know.
Come on, James, you should know this.
Yeah.
Favorite card game?
Can't remember.
One of the two you've played.
You know the long-running jokes we bring up that are not true, but if we say them over and over again, then they become true eventually. And then James's love for what's it called? Family. What's it called?
Happy Families.
Happy Families. James is now Happy Families' biggest fan, so that's going to come up over the weeks to come. Go on.
I look forward to the creator of Happy Families appearing at a live show.
Then we had A Memoir Blue, which is a journey into the depths of memory that's coming out on iPhone, Switch, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, and Game Pass.
Hooray.
Looks all right.
Quite a few of those. Little Game Pass logo at the end. I was really happy with that. This looks pleasant. Sort of a narrative-led thing with just an interesting art style and stuff. So I was up for it, and it's on Game Pass, so it's free, innit?
Yeah. Then we had Storyteller, which is coming on Switch and Steam.
Well, I always get told off for saying that.
Okay.
But it is true. So
go on, James.
Yeah, so we had Storyteller, which is coming to Switch and Steam. This is where you build stories using characters and genre tropes to fulfill criteria. Yeah,
it's basically it's like you're basically storyboarding, aren't you? So there'll be like as you say, there's like a condition you have to sort of fulfill. And then just a series of like panels where you can sort of put characters in and different icons sort of signifying different events or relationships or whatever. There's a demo of this on Steam and I really need to try it out. Everyone says it's proper good.
Mm-hmm. This is coming out on Switch as well, so I might give this a go because it does look very interesting. Because it's just you have to like fulfill criteria like for each one.
So it's a game making a story, or do you then play out the story afterwards, but things change, or what is the game?
There's like an end point you have to arrive at in each sequence. It's not like you're changing the story as such. It's just there are different ways to arrive at that end point.
Yeah, it's like how do you make this a tragedy? And it's like by putting characters together.
By putting man and woman in love, and then like man gets stabbed, and then woman's in front of the grave or whatever, and then that's a tragedy.
The classic love story.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Stuff like that. And obviously, I guess it gets more and more complex as things go on. But it looked really smart.
Awesome.
Then we had Solar Ash, which is coming to Epic Games Store and PlayStation.
What do you think, Sean?
Oh, I'm getting there. This looked better than like previous trailers. It just showed off more of the sort of cool movement stuff. Still cautiously optimistic.
And after that, we had Skin Deep, which is a spaceship FPS, apparently, which is only on Steam. I don't know anything about this because I didn't see this bit.
I was going to say, I don't remember this.
Someone on the wind-up. Sneak one in. Are they nicking ideas for old TCGS, are they?
Okay.
Sorry, I missed this.
Then there was Stray, which is coming to PC.
Sorry. No, I remember now. This is the one that's being made by Blendo Games, who've done loads of cool, interesting stuff on, I think, mainly on PC. But yeah, it just seemed like a weird, sort of very systems-heavy sort of FPS thing. Yeah, hard to describe. Probably just go and watch the trailer. It was weird.
God.
Good.
Do that for all of them.
Brilliant radio, that, isn't it? We really have to see it to really understand it.
Just sort of Google it. Just Google it. Yeah. Just Google it, that one.
Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know all the games we talk about? There's actually professionally written reviews of them online.
Don't waste your time.
Then there was Stray, which is coming to PC and PlayStation next year. And I haven't seen this either because I have to admit I only saw about 2/3 of this showcase because I forgot to watch the rest of it.
Really good.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I've heard a lot of buzz about this. Like everyone seems to think it looks amazing. So, what's the deal?
So this is the one, where the initial reveal trailer was like, it's like this sort of city sort of scene, and there's robots everywhere. And you're like, oh, okay, it's a game about robots.
It's a cyberpunk thing again.
Yeah. And then at the end, it was like, also, here's a cat, and that's the main character.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. It looked really good. Just like, so they showed off a couple of sequences from sort of very early in the game where, you just this cat sort of trying to get about this city, knocking stuff around, solving puzzles, doing a bit of traversal, stuff like that. And then they sort of showed that like a bit further in, you get like a robot friend who follows you around and can sort of somehow, I think the robot can sort of communicate with you, like it translates between you and the robots basically. And then suddenly like the story kicks in and you become this cat that's sort of going around like helping the robots do stuff. But it just looked great. Like the visuals looked absolutely beautiful, and the animation on the cat was just absolutely spot on. They showed like, there's going to be some sections where there's these little fucking, like, I can't remember what they are, just bad things trying to like jump on you and get you, and you have to sort of run through these sections and not get caught. And I was like, no, why are you doing that? I hate it when these games do that. Like, we need we've created this really cool, like, chill game. We should probably put in a chapter where you're being attacked. Like, no, you can just not. You can just not put that
I'd
in.
rather not have that combat, thank you.
Yeah, but then it sort of implied that there's a bit of that, and then you get like another ability that helps you sort of fight back. So whatever, maybe that's just like literally like a 5-minute bit, and then it moves on. I don't know, but no, overall, like really impressed by this. It just looked really nice.
And then we had the main one at the end, didn't we?
Yeah, we had the Outer Wilds expansion, which is called Echoes of the Eye, which is coming out on 20th September, which is pretty soon.
I can't wait. Apparently, it's going to happen. It's going to, because of how the game is. It happened basically during the main game, so I'm very excited to see what I do.
Yeah, which is obviously quite good news for me, who still hasn't finished the main game. I'm hoping I can just sort of load it up, and the new stuff is just sort of seamlessly added as I continue playing it. So that'll be nice. But no, overall, this was a really nice little showcase, I thought. There was a few other bits, weren't there? Like little sort of interviews with devs and stuff. There was a bit with Jessica Mack, who did Everyday Shooter, which is proper good. Mm-hmm. She's doing a new game that looked really interesting. Loads of good stuff.
And then also they had there's a couple of things were announced for Game Pass as well that's coming soon, like Telling Lies and Gorogoa are going to be on there. Soon
Gorogoa
as well.
Fucking hell. None of you played Gorogoa?
See, that's the thing. That's on my wish list. It's on my wish list but then I was like, I won't bother now. I'll just get it on Game Pass.
The name rings a bell, but I'm trying to remember why. I'm sure we spoke about it before, Sean.
It's so fucking good, honestly. Like, it's one of the smartest puzzle games I've ever played. I know you don't like puzzles, James. It's just,
I do. I like some puzzles, just not. Okay. I like spatial puzzles. So I guess it's not one of those.
Yeah, it's all sort of spatial perspective stuff.
How about puzzles that involve cards? Where do you sit with those, James?
Not a fan, Dave. Not a fan.
Do you like those
him
ones...
on his birthday? Do you remember James on his birthday?
He must
Open it up. Oh, for fuck's sake! Just look at cards. This one's got Del Boy on the front, and when you open it up, it's got Del Boy's voice coming out. Okay. All right. Well, we done? Let's move on.
Okay. So the other thing that's happened this week is that Sony are releasing a new beta firmware, which is now available, so that you can add another SSD to the PS5, along with other things as well.
Yes.
And so they're now supporting M2 SSDs, but only certain ones. So you have to look up online to see what works and what doesn't. Brilliant. I mean, the main buzz around this whole thing is everyone just going on about how difficult it is to attack, to do. With Xbox, obviously, you just have to plug it in, but with this, it's there's 12 steps. And according to Sony, you need a well-lit room with a table to work on, a Phillips or crosshead screwdriver, a small flashlight, optional, and then you have to take the thing apart and put it in. But I don't know, you see, I saw people, this is going to make me sound like an apologist, but I saw people moaning about this, but it's okay, the Xbox One definitely is better, in the sense that you can just plug it in. This doesn't look that bad.
I agree.
Isn't it that if you don't buy one of the special ones, if you buy any M2 drive, you also got to buy a heatsink? I think that's what people were also kind of scratching their heads about.
Yeah, but I didn't. Don't the approved ones already come with some sort of heatsink?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's included.
But I think what people were talking about is the fact that they're like, oh, brilliant, you can put any M2 drive in. Obviously, Sony said no, just certain verified ones.
Yeah, but we knew that, right?
But I think
we knew that they could just.
Yeah, but the idea is
the Xbox ones are also
Microsoft's
only verified ones, which are the ones that they've made. It's
look. Here's the way I see this, because James, I watched a video that had this is how you do it on Xbox, this is how you do it on PlayStation, and it was going for the laughs, and it was quite funny when I first watched it. And no, sorry, the video's funny, but I think ultimately the point was I come out of it going, oh, it ain't that bad on Sony, because he showed plugging into the back of the Xbox the little memory card thing, then he showed how to do it on Sony, and he put on a high-vis vest and got a toolbox out and all that sort of stuff, and that was quite funny. But then all he did was take the flaps off, and he went take the flaps off and then unscrew one little panel and replace it, and then that was it. And I was like, oh, okay, oh right, that's not actually that bad at all then, is it? I mean, you do similar things to replace batteries in kids' toys, so it's not that out there to replace the SSD drive. The story for me this week was not how difficult it was to replace it, but how much more expensive it was than buying a proprietary memory card from Microsoft. Now, there is a reason behind this. Now, originally the argument was it will be cheaper for PlayStation because it's competing brands for solid state drives. It's not a proprietary memory card that only Microsoft are making. But when you look into it, these are way more advanced than what is in Microsoft's memory card, right? That Sony's hard drives require a very advanced version of an SSD. It's not just the stuff that you're putting in your Xbox. So that's why they're coming out more expensive. But when you look at the prices of those drives currently, it doesn't look great, does it? Blimey. I mean, what was it? It's $220 for the 1 terabyte memory card on the Xbox, but it's $260 or $250 for the Sony compatible drive. Is that right?
I have no idea.
I think that was right. The shocking thing was it was $1,000 for the 4 terabyte one.
Yeah, if you want to go 4 Teza.
Yeah, which was you can see that's just not going to be an option. And of course, the smallest drive you can get is that 1 terabyte one. And when you've got a console, especially if you're going for the digital one, and you're only getting 600 gigabytes worth of usable space, that's a problem. So you're not getting that much more on the Xbox. About 200-300 more gig is not really going to make a big difference in the long run. But I will say that the prices of the drives shocked me, even though they are that sort of newer, more advanced technology. I just hope they come down quickly. Do you know what I mean? They can't stay at that price. Whereas I can't see Microsoft's memory cards coming down that much at all.
So Microsoft's one on Amazon, it's down to 180 quid now.
Okay, right. Well, that's me. Shut up then. Isn't it?
But in terms of the SSDs, I mean, M2 drives are newer. I mean, I've got one on my PC, but they're not that new.
No, but these aren't M2 drives, are they? They're more advanced than that, aren't they? That's why you can't just stick any M2 drive in your PS5 and it works.
Well, they've got to be like, I think, a Gen 4 M2 drive. So yeah, like it's the faster, or it's the same kind of format, but a faster version. And I was looking at this guide on Digital Foundry saying, here's all the best ones, and obviously loads of them require additional heatsink. But I wasn't too shocked at the prices given the price of the Xbox One. I mean, I expect around 200 quid for the basic one. Obviously, there are manufacturers who go crazy and say, if you've got the money, here's 4 terabytes for $1,000.
Yeah, but it wasn't 200 for the basic one. That's what I'm saying. The first ones where the company that made them have come out and said these work on the PlayStation, it was like $260.
Right, okay, yeah.
So it wasn't around the $200 price point at all. There's a big difference between, as you say, if we stick to RRP, whatever the sales come out as or whatever, there's still like a $50 difference between the Xbox memory card and the same space for the Sony one. I just hope that the more companies that come out and produce these drives, the cheaper that will come and it will drive that price down. But we'll see. Well,
I think loads of companies will produce them, but they'll all be the same price because these things are just expensive. But yeah, obviously over time, they will come down. I mean, I'm not really tempted. I'm happy to kind of reinstall and delete a game if I have to. And also there aren't actually that many PS5 games really out there, so there's not really an issue at the moment. But obviously in 6 months or a year's time, well, actually no, sorry, not 6 months because everything's been delayed. But in 2022 when there are games coming out, then it will be more of an issue. Maybe I will spend $1,000 on 4 terabytes. No, maybe I will buy like a terabyte one. I'm not sure.
You see, it's been interesting with the Series S, which, as we know, has about 3 gigs of storage. Because so I plugged in just a USB 3 hard drive that I had sitting around because I'm cool, sort of thing. I just have, don't
sound cool to me.
No. So I plugged that in and that sort of solved any storage problems because I was just, anything that wasn't, series enhanced, well, it goes on the big external hard drive and that's absolutely fine, But over time, obviously, most things, or most things I now have installed are series enhanced, whether it's, new games that have come out with enhancements or old ones that are just getting quietly updated. Like I had, Doom Eternal downloaded, put that on the external drive, and then fucking hell, they've patched it with fucking next-gen enhancements. So now I've got to move it back.
No, you don't have to move it back, though. You only have to move it back to play it. Only when you want to play it, though.
Yeah, I know. It's just annoying.
I know, but it's like you can, because I've got the same situation, but I've just plugged in like a terabyte drive, and then I'll just keep everything on that. Yeah. And then when I want to play stuff, I just copy it over. I've got about 8 or 9 games I think installed on the SSD. Yeah. Which now actually no less than that because I've got Flight Sim installed, which is ridiculous. But in general, I think it's manageable. It's not like a disaster.
I think it's just over time it's going to get harder. I'm already seeing a shift towards needing more things. I mean, as you say, you can swap them back and forth. It's just I find it a bit annoying. I still can't see me spending 180 quid on the extra storage, mind you. But then see where we are in a year.
Upgrading to an X X would have been £200 more. Yeah. So it's
exactly.
Yeah, that's got to be a kick in the teeth. All right.
Okay. Last story is that Nintendo says it hasn't forgotten about Animal Crossing: New Horizon. So
good one, Nintendo. Great gag.
Shall I read the quote? So this was on Twitter. Please said, a free update for Animal Crossing New Horizons arrives on the 29th of July. Please ensure that you are updated to the latest version to enjoy the upcoming weekly fireworks shows and new seasonal items.
God damn, I remember that.
I'm rushing to my Switch as we speak.
In addition to these updates, more free content for Animal Crossing New Horizons is currently in development for later this year. More information will be shared in the future.
October 1 is there? Yeah, October 1 is there? Is there a winter fest or whatever they call it?
Halloween theme.
Present day.
Pumpkins.
Present day coming, is it? What are we going to do? Is there going to be the fucking bunny guy turn up again next year? Is it
going to snow at Christmas? Yeah, pathetic Nintendo. Give us the real stuff we want.
Okay, then it's you finished. Shall I continue?
James having none of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's about his beloved game, isn't it?
Jokes in the news section again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
More information will be shared in the future, so please stay tuned. Thank you for your support and patience. And yeah, I mean, this is really annoying, isn't it? Though, I mean, you're right. It is ridiculous. I mean, they've done. I mean, the updates they've had so far have been rubbish, haven't they? Like, they've mostly been rubbish. There's not been anything, like, really good. They've not really added anything beyond the core game apart from just items and stuff, and that's it. And it's just really disappointing, seeing as how much it sold as well, and how well it did, and it just don't seem bothered.
It's my favourite update. My favourite update was the one where you could go to that island and take photos of a wedding. Yeah. And you were like, why am I doing this? No reason, just there's a wedding going on, you could take photos and stuff.
And it's amazing.
Okay, fine.
Am I getting paid?
And then the next year, they did it again.
That there are still lots of very good reasons that game did end up in our Game of the Year list, and
100%, yeah.
And I understand the argument that even as even though it's not many updates as a base game, it has things that previous Animal Crossings did not. But it's just that sense that we often get from Nintendo, that they've just gone, oh, well, it's fucking selling, so why would we put more stuff in? Doesn't matter, does it? Millions of people still buying it.
I'd love to see the offices. I'd love to see the offices where they're working on that game. Yeah. I just want to see the buzz of it all, or if there is any buzz, or if it's just one person.
It is. It's just like, what we got for the next update? Just a decoration for your door? Yeah, go on.
Just repeat last year's. But James, 1.11 is out now, and people have already data mined it, and there's been some stuff in there.
Oh, really?
Have you read about that?
Yeah, but but the stuff they've data mined is the stuff that was also in it right at the beginning when they data mined it as well. Oh, right. There's stuff like, there might be a coffee shop, and it's like, yes, that was in an earlier data mine.
I remember that story.
And there's that didn't happen.
But this contains a new event about the museum cafe. So,
oh my god,
basically things are happening.
But yeah.
Right, okay, I will bring this up. I wasn't going to bring this up. James, don't think this is an attack on you, because I think you were absolutely right to say this at the time. But when we first started talking about this game, I sort of said, how do you review a game like this? And I asked you what you would give it if you were to review it. And you said a 9. And I said, but how can you do that without knowing where this game's going to go in the future? And you said, because they all go exactly the same way. We know what we're getting, that it's going to expand. We know the stuff we're getting, and it's all going to be great, right? I'm not having a go at you for saying that, right? Because you are basing that on years and years of experience with this game. But it's crazy when you look at where we are now. Do you know what I mean? And you think, even like a massive fan of that series that you are, to look at where we are a year and a half later and go, what the fuck have they done? It's pretty mad how
I'm
that game's
so
gone.
Disappointed, seriously, because I was really thought that, especially seeing as it's done so well as well, you'd think that they would have kept adding stuff to it. Yeah.
And it was so great at the start.
I mean, just the fucking shop. It's still the same. It's never been like that in an Animal Crossing game.
All that time where we were like, oh, well, there'll be like a third upgrade to the shop, won't there?
Yeah.
No, there'll be a third version of the shop. This isn't really that big.
It's just exactly. In the other ones, it went into multiple floors and stuff like that. You could go into even. Yeah, they added hair salon and all that kind of stuff. It's like there was a fucking disco in
in
the other
salon. James does, and the disco.
Yeah.
They ran out of ideas and created a dream factory. Come on. Yeah, no, it's madness.
You've also got to imagine COVID's hit them hard because it's Nintendo. Well, it's hit everyone hard, but also, and obviously they were gearing for this to be a massive success. But then this hit exactly when lockdown hit, and we'll never know what it would have been like if it wasn't for COVID. But obviously, COVID a huge reason why I think a lot of people pick this up.
Yeah.
Everyone's just playing it. But then also, with COVID affecting everyone's development, it'd be, not that they'll ever say that, but maybe that has affected it. But I would have at least expected some new stuff in the shop.
They released Bowser's Fury. Just create a little building in your fucking little animal game. Come on. There's been some amazing games come out in this period. But, whatever. Okay,
all we want is some new stuff in the shop.
I don't want to shit on it too much, but let's
it's still
go.
an amazing game.
We just have again.
I just had flashbacks of the emails we get on a regular basis about how we dare to slag off that game.
No, but it's just I wanted this game to be really good, and I did have a good time with it when it first came out. I think the game is good,
though, isn't it, James?
Yeah, but I had a good time with it when it first came out, but there's vanishingly small reasons to return to it because of the fact that there's been no expansion at all to it. It's just the same stuff. It's a shame.
Get on the fucking mobile one. They're updating that with loads every week.
Yeah, I know.
I thought you telling him to get on the mobile and ring up Nintendo. Then
get on the
Nintendo
mobile, James. Give him a
but James, what would actually get you to come back and play? I mean, I'm sure you're probably playing little bits here and there every day. I mean, Brewster's Cafe is not really enough to bring everyone back.
It'd be a start. It'd be a start.
What? So the cafe's here. You're like, okay, cool. I mean, yeah, it would be a start.
It's a start, Matthew.
Do you know what would get me interested again? You wouldn't even have to add anything. Just
MOBA?
Fucking... Yeah, actually, I love MOBAs now. It's my new thing.
Card games. Deck building, crafting element.
I mean, you're joking, Dave, but can you imagine if you could sit down in your house and it's like, right, do you want to start a game of poker with your mates?
Yeah, that'd be good, but that would never happen, will it? Because it's
too hard. It would happen, but then they do it, and it would be wrong in some way.
It'd just be hopelessly shit for some reason or another. Only 2 players allowed, something like that.
Like the poker in 42 all-time classics, where it's like, you want to raise further than that? No.
But yeah, if they just
important integral part of poker, forget about it.
If they just sped up the UI stuff, you remember that video that someone made that sort of mocked up here's
that was so good.
Just implement some of that shit.
Implement that, and I'll come back.
Yeah,
but I don't think a cafe. Yeah, cafe will be a start. You're definitely right, James. But and maybe nothing would ever bring the waves of people back like lockdown did. But I feel like it's got to be massive, not just an update. Brewster's here. I'm like, okay, I'll try it for a bit, but I want more.
Okay.
That's it.
No Farley's Fantasy Zone this week?
No. Well, you see, the thing is, I was thinking about this, and I only want to do that when it's something which is actually worth talking about, honestly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Ration it out.
Matt, have you put up the MP3 yet for people to download?
No, I haven't. No, I'll do that.
Let's do that. Whack it on our web space. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then tweet out the link or something. So download that and put that everywhere, like TLNA did this week, which was absolutely incredible. If you want to see the clip of TLNA playing out James's Farley Fantasy Zone jingle, then go to our Twitter page because there's a clip of it on there. And whack that follow button if you haven't already, because there's some quality tweets going out. Oh, if you like good tweets, TCGS Co.
Half the show's on Twitter. Yeah, someone did tweet us saying, I want the Farley's Fantasy Zone track, and I do apologise, I haven't put up, but I will put up. By the time you hear this, it'll be up somewhere.
All right, let's get on to what we've been playing. I don't know where to start this week. I'm looking at the list of games, and there's so many good games to talk about on here that this is pretty exciting. So should we start? Let's start with Microsoft Flight Simulator, because A, it's quite dull, and B, it's probably, we've all played it this week, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, barely.
We have
played it a bit, like 10 minutes.
Okay, look, I'm going to be incredibly positive about this game, but we have to mention the negatives, some that are absolutely mind-blowing if you consider that we're in the next generation of video game consoles. So let's start with the loading times. Jesus, what did they just not? Did they reduce down to a hard drive for this game, or what? The loading times. I mean, fair enough. It's loading the entire world, but at the same time, my word, I thought we were done with loading times, and this really does take a long time to boot.
I wouldn't say they're that bad, but yeah, they are noticeable. But
same on.
They're pretty bad. That first one was about 5 minutes.
I was going to say, it's same on PC as well. Has been since launch. I was hoping that it would just sort of magically not be as bad on consoles, but yeah, I mean, once you've initially done that initial load in, it's not too bad. Considering how quickly you can then load up anywhere on the planet after that initial.
Yeah, but we're playing on consoles that load into games within 2 or 3 seconds. So yeah, it's bad compared to that. Once you get used to the no loading in a lot of games, then you come to this. It's shocking. The other shocking thing is, my word, this is a first-party game, Microsoft. Make sure you get the downloading stuff right.
Yeah.
Okay, there's people complaining about downloading the game. It's a big game. Fine. launch day there was a patch that is a big patch, fine, but that's all done at system level. If you want the data packs, so here's how it works: you download the game, you download the patches installed.
It's not actually technically a first-party game, is it? I mean, it's not. The studio isn't owned by Microsoft. It's just a Microsoft property.
I guess it's
but they've still got their name on it. So
my view will be
make sure it fucking works properly.
But just someone will say it's not actually.
Not technically. Yeah, it's not technically announced.
Okay, fine, but this is a Microsoft game that is exclusive for that console and it is on Game Pass. It's a big hitter for them to put it out there, right? Yeah, I know. For that console, Matt. That's
just
what
get
I'm
it fucking right, David.
This is being very... Anyway, I know you're just looking out for me. It's fine, man.
Love you, babe.
Right, so my point is this, right? You download the game in the patch via the system level, and that's fine. So we all know the trick that if you've got a game running in the background, then your download speeds get throttled. So, I've got a 200 megabyte download speed. I was downloading at like 30 megs.
Sorry, Dave. Megabit, 200 megabit, not bytes. Thank you.
Right, okay, megabit. Oh, fucking,
I don't want you to get fucking sued, do I?
I give up. Megabit.
Right,
Maybe you
explaining about fucking up, David.
Oh, God. Yeah, should we start with Death's Door this week? Cut all that, Matt. Cut all that.
Go on.
Right, so 200 megabit.
Thank you.
I downloaded, but so once I closed all my apps, I'm getting my full download speed. Mm-hmm. That's fine, right? It's annoying for people that haven't got decent connections, right? But it's the same for many other games that are of a large file size. Okay? The problem is, if you want the proper experience, and I really do mean the proper experience, because I flew around quite a bit of London without any of the data packs installed, and it's still impressive. There's no doubt about it, but it is very bare bones, right? And there's major landmarks missing. Like, for example, Wembley Stadium. If you flew over Wembley Stadium without the data pack installed, it would just be a flat image of Wembley on the floor, not even a pop-up of it, whatever. Yeah. So you go into the store within the game and you download the UK data pack or the Tokyo data pack or the America one, whichever one that you're interested in. The problem with that is that you have to make that download within the game. Mm. And because the game is running, it throttles it to that 30 megabit speed again.
But also,
and it's like,
how big are they?
My God. So the UK one was about 11 gig.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Right?
If you want to download everything, which I did, it was another 29 gig. If you don't want to download all the data packs and the free stuff, it was 29 gig.
I mean, we should say they are all free, right? There are paid for data packs, but they just seem to be airports.
That's fine. That's fine. But my point is this: download that at the Microsoft Store level.
Yeah.
Don't download that with in-game.
Yeah.
Because the problem with doing it within game, it thinks the game is open, it throttles the connection, you can't suspend it and go back to it and it download in the background. That doesn't work. You can't close the game or put your console in standby mode. You have to download that. It's insane. And that was the annoying thing.
Does it like if you stop doing it, does it then when you go back, does it take up from where you've left off?
Yeah, it
yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does do that.
So bad.
But I had it where I was like, okay, fine, I'll leave the console on and just watch telly or something, do something else, or I don't know what I did. But then the console had a standby mode where it was just like, okay, you've not touched it for a little while, so I'm going to turn it off. Yeah. And I was like, so I went back to it and I still had 6 gigs to download. And I was like, this stuff needs to be better. It just needs to be better.
Well, yeah, because they caught a load of shit when it first came out on PC as well, because that also did patching in game. So that wasn't at system level. You'd load it up and then it would be like, right, now you've got to download another 80 gig of new stuff. Like before it would even let you play it, and it was pissing off people who'd bought it on Steam, because if you buy something on Steam and then you play it for less than, I think it's like 2 hours, you can get a refund. So people were having to leave the game running for all these patches and stuff to download, and then finding that if they either didn't like the game or it didn't work very well or whatever, that they were out of that refund window because they had to leave the game running just to patch it in the first place.
Ouch.
So they've been in trouble for similar things before. So it's weird to see them make a similar mistake here. But
yeah. It sucks. That's the shit stuff done, in my opinion. And I'm sure, we can talk about stuff later, but Oh my god, once you've got it going, it is good fun, isn't it? I never thought I'd be this addicted to it. I mean, we've made jokes before that we'd boot it up, fly over our house and uninstall it, but that has not been the case for me. I've been totally addicted to this game.
I mean, I can't, I mean, you know, I've been on record several times over the last year or so saying I don't see how they're ever going to get this running on consoles. They've fucking done it. It's absolutely absurd. I mean,
there are times where it chugs a bit, isn't it? If you're going through a heavily dense area, it can chug a little bit, but for the most part, it's quite solid.
And controls-wise, the default controls work really well.
Yeah,
really well.
Yeah, controls are okay. I mean, I think if you wanted to get into proper sim stuff, you'd struggle. But then, if you want to do that, then you can spend £200 on a stupid controller if you want. You know, you can plug in mouse and keyboard as well. That works. But yeah, I mean, like on the Series S. There are compromises. Like if you like some of the reflections in like water and stuff are pretty terrible. There's a lot of like, you know, sort of level of detail adjustment going on as you're flying around, things sort of popping into view. You still get that
on the X as well.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, you do.
But like, considering this is a game that like doesn't run amazingly well on my theoretically far superior PC. It's unbelievable. I don't know how they've done it.
I mean, I was surprised. I thought it looked great on the S. I was very impressed.
Yeah. The fact that they've added, what I love about this in general is that if you want to set this up in such a way as like you are literally having to do everything you would do if you were literally flying a fucking passenger plane or whatever, you can. Like the amount of detail is absurd. It's like, you know, there's so much you can do. You can manually fucking communicate with air control towers and like request landing and all that stuff. It's amazing. But equally, if you want to load it up and press a button to go somewhere nice and just have a fly around and not really think about it, that is equally catered for. And that's really cool. Because there's no there's zero judgment. There's no like, yeah, all right, well you've tried that, but come on, do you want to do it properly now? Like, no, it doesn't give a shit. It's quite happy for you to enjoy it on whatever level you're into, you know, you're up for. And those, so a number of things they've done since it launched on PC is that. So for one, so now you can go on the world map. And previously, you had to take off from an airport. You'd have to pick an airport to start, and then you'd like pick a destination one. Whereas now you can just pick a spot on the globe, and you can just spawn in the air, and you're flying.
But can you?
Yeah.
You could do that. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I've been taking off from an airport every time.
Yeah, you can skip that. You can just pick a spot on the map and it'll just spawn you at like 1,500 feet.
Oh,
or something.
for fuck's sake, what a div.
So that's really useful. I think that's a relatively new feature. But yeah, so specifically new for the console versions. I think they're adding it to the PC as well. Are what they call discovery tours, which, as I say, you just you select this tab on the menu and it's just here's like a selection of like famous places in the world. So there's like London or Naples, or Yellowstone Park in America, stuff like that. And so you just hit the button and it's like, right, loads in, ready to fly, and you're set up with like a suitable plane, like nice weather, and some genuinely gorgeous music in the background.
Oh wow!
It's really cool. Like it starts off with like the engine noise, but then literally by the sort of 5 seconds in, the engine noise is basically completely faded away and is replaced by this music. And it's become like a bit of a nighttime ritual for me. This last week, like just before I go to bed, I'll just have a little fucking discovery tour. Let's go for a little fly around. And it's really lovely, really nicely done. Like there's always been, since this came out on PC, that like I say, there's always been this sort of way to like just play it with all the assists on, not really worry too much about what's happening. But this just takes that a step further, and it really is that sort of like, if you've got people round And you like especially if you're sort of in or around London, to be able to load that London one up and just go, right, there you go, have a go. Basically, just use the one stick to fly about and just enjoy yourself.
I mean, what's the reaction been of people that you've obviously shown this game to people that you normally wouldn't be interested in video games, right?
Well, I tried with my dad a while ago with the PC version because he's well into mountain climbing. He regularly buggers off to the Alps and doesn't really tell anyone. It's a bit weird. But
we need to talk to him about it. Really,
so like one time I think I can't remember. I think he'd been out with Isaac somewhere and he brought him back, and I was like, oh, by the way, have a look at this. You'll probably find it interesting. And I don't know. I don't think it was that fussed.
It's really funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's you see some people that I've shown have been like, wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
And they totally get it and they're totally into it. It was really cool showing my mother-in-law the other night, and she was like, oh, fly over to where I used to work in London. So I flew over to that area, and she was like, wow, this is amazing. But then you get some people that are just like, you'll go, look, it's got the whole world in it. Look, this is our street, where like I showed my dad, this is our street or whatever. House looks nothing like ours. And I'm like, I know Dad, right? It's auto-generating that stuff. Like, it's not, you can't get the brick right, but the fact that it's there and you're flying over our garden, and, even the pictures they use for their gardens or whatever are a picture of our garden, like that's impressive. Nah, that don't look like that. That don't look like that. And I'm going,
I know,
oh my God, what do you want? Like, it's so, but I get it. It's like kind of, if someone comes up to you and goes, this is it's got the whole world in it, and you look at it and it's like, that's not right. Then I can kind of get that reaction, but at the same time, I want to kill the people that do that. And also, I've had like really disappointing moments where, obviously, one of the first things I've done, the first things I wanted to do is fly over buildings that I've worked on, right? And there's some prominent buildings in there. So I say prominent, they're not like famous ones or whatever, but you know them when you see them.
Yeah.
And every time I've flown over one, it's either been a flat picture on the floor, because it's not a generic building, it's something a little bit different. It's either a flat picture on the floor or it's a building site. I've had a few where it's been a building site where it's been taken before, like the building's actually been
I was going to say,
built.
because obviously even those auto-generated buildings, so yeah, for anyone listening who's completely new to this, the way they've done it is that basically, most of the globe is made up of satellite images and then, map data which is basically like, there is a building that is, these dimensions, this shape, and this many floors, and then it just generates like a block, right, based on that. That data. So it's possible, Dave. Obviously, most of the stuff you've worked on is, relatively new buildings. It might be, so even when the building is there, the data set they've used for the building information might not be new enough, I guess.
Well, this is the different. Yeah, so some of them are building sites. So you're just seeing a flat picture of like either a car park or a field, or actually, like a site there. Others are, because they're not a generic house or a tower block or something. There's one specific one that I'm thinking of that I'll have to show you later. But you think, oh yeah, the data's gone. Well, we don't have a sort of pre-built like thing for that, so let's just leave it off, and it's just like an image on it. It's so gutting, but you get it. But there is that disappointment there if you're trying to fly over.
And it's so,
but, go on.
I was going to say, and obviously, so there's like a real sort of shift when you visit somewhere where, so like all these world updates they've been putting out, which, as I say, are free. That's where they've gone into famous places and they've started handcrafting bits of it. So like central London, being an obvious one, is really cool. Yeah. But as you say, that sort of shift when you get to then like just a generic auto-generated place is like, woohoo, okay. Manchester looks like shit. There's no two ways about it. Right. Whereas London's amazing, But
yeah, you talk about London, like, so obviously one of the places I flew over was the Den, like the Millwall's football ground. And before I downloaded the data pack, it was literally an image on the floor, and I was gutted. And when I loaded up the data pack and flew over it again, it was a proper fully built model of the Den, and I was like, God, that makes such a huge difference. Like, it looks so good, like flying over that. So I was absolutely made up with that. It was well worth downloading that 11 gig or whatever.
And it's worth saying, like, even with the handcrafted stuff, like, we're talking about how amazing the game looks. Obviously, everything's built to be viewed more or less from a distance, right? If you fly down to ground level, like, it unravels pretty quickly. It's not like...
It looks pretty ropey, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like... It's easy to sort of be at, 10,000 feet and be like, oh my God, this is the best fucking game I've ever seen. Why isn't every game this good looking? Whereas if you fly down to ground level and suddenly everything's at a level of detail that in, a GTA game would be embarrassing, it would be broken, but that's fine. I guess, like you say, it's silly to sort of criticize it for that, given what it does do.
Yeah. And I've also had these weird moments where, so I've done the flying around my local areas, but this is something I never thought I'd do. So was it yesterday morning? Charlie woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and he did not go back to sleep. And Jo was not here; she was away for the evening. So I had to sit up from 3:30 in the morning right the way through to. Well, I didn't get a little bit of a catch up sleep until about 2:00 in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
So I was a wreck, right? But when he woke up in the morning, he was like, I want to watch the planes or whatever. So I thought, I'll put that on, and I just thought, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to fly from Gatwick to Paris. So I did, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like once I'd got up to cruise speed and everything, and I was flying over the channel, I was like, okay, I can just put this down for a little bit now, go and do some bits and pieces and then come back. And then seeing like France come along and then following the river right the way through to Paris and then landing the thing was amazing. And I was just like, I never thought I'd be doing this. Like, all right, I'm playing it on super easy mode where, there's no damage and you can't really fuck up or whatever. But at the same time, I didn't think I'd be doing that on this. And it was totally worth it. I had a great time doing it. And
it's
I
worth
still
saying,
want to
like,
play more of it.
Even with all the assists on and stuff, you totally can fuck up.
You can crash.
With damage off. Like, okay, the game won't stop you if you crash into the floor, but you're still pretty much done if you.
You can't get back up in the air.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just the thing that gets me the most about it. As I say, playing it as someone who's not. I'm not too fussed about the sim stuff, really. It just feels like a game that, yes, is in love with flying and aeroplanes, but is equally in love with just fucking planet Earth and the things, like, whether it's, natural phenomena or man-made stuff. Like, you'll just fly over cities and just be like, mankind's fucking mental. Like we fucking built all this. This is what the fuck. Like it's and it's so hard to explain. It's just getting that perspective and having that freedom to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking fly around wherever I want. And the weather, like how like stunning the clouds are. Like, have you flown like up through the clouds? Like through the
no, I've not done that yet. No.
Oh, it was incredible. No. I did one. I can't remember how I got around to it. I was flying over Edinburgh, and it was like weather was really shit, and there was this one like gap in the clouds where like the sun was like beaming through, and I was just like, I'm gonna fucking fly through that. And I just did, and it was just incredible, like just absolutely unbelievable. And this is before you get into the fact that it like, because you can play it with like live weather. Like it, like so when what was the hurricane last year? I can't remember the name. I
remember this. Yeah, I remember this
so it was accurately modelling that, and people were able to just fly around in it because
they were storm chasing, weren't they? In the game? Is that something you have to turn on in this, or is that on by default?
It asks you the moment you boot it up. It says, "Do you want live weather? Do you want live mapping?"
Yeah, every time you start a flight,
I don't remember
you can
seeing that, but.
Yeah, every time you start a flight, you can either choose the weather manually. You can do it mid-flight if you want. You can just change. You can mess around with time of day and the weather and stuff.
I haven't found that setting because I was getting frustrated that I could only fly around in night when I was playing it in the evenings. Where do you go for that?
Well, if you're on the globe, there's so you pick your location, and I think it's the top right. There's just like a panel, and it'll just say like live, and you tap that, and then you can sort of set things manually, and then like I say, even when you're mid-flight, you can just, which is great because you'd be flying around and it's like actually, this would be cool if it was a really dramatic sunset. Actually, let's just just change the time of day. There we go. Like, and it's just mad just seeing it all like react and do it all in real time.
Well, that's it. When I did my flight to Paris yesterday, what was mad is that the sun was coming up as the sun was coming up.
Of course, yeah.
Like, oh shit, that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool.
It's also fascinating, like, flying sort of in and around the UK, and like I'm sort of looking at places that I think are like roads that when you drive down and there's like a huge like downhill bit or whatever, and it's like a famous view or whatever, and you think, oh, that'll be cool to look up in flight sim. We live in the most geologically fucking boring country imaginable. It's all just flat. There's nothing dramatic about it at all. It's rubbish.
I've got to do a flight through the Grand Canyon. I think that's going to be my next trip.
I've not done that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, on the Discovery flights, I've only done New York, but that was amazing. It just really I was flying obviously off Manhattan Island and around inside Jersey and all sorts of stuff. It was awesome.
Really good.
What was it? I mean, it's been a weird experience for me. It's something that sort of took me by surprise. I knew I'd like it because I've always been obsessed with, Google Maps, like specifically. I'm always looking on there and looking around and just having a look at cities and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not surprised that I was sort of obsessed with this, but I am surprised at what level and how long it's holding my interest, because I am still bang up for playing more of it. That's what I was going to say. The other funny thing is when you're doing a flight like I did yesterday, you are kind of like, all right, I need to know where to go now. Or just open Google Maps. Let's just go, okay, so that's this place. There's that river, and you're spotting landmarks as well. When I was following the river up to Paris, I was like, okay, so I don't really know how far away Paris is, but if I look at that bend in the river and look at it in Google Maps, yep, that's exactly there, and there should be a warehouse there. There is, so I know exactly where I am now. I'm surprised there's not a live tracking thing.
As in...
There's not an app where you can load it up and it can connect to your game and show you where you are, because it needs that. That would be amazing.
But see,
again, so you can have your phone open.
But yeah, would that be too much for the hardcore sim people to accept?
Yeah, well, they don't have to use it. Don't download the app.
Yeah, it's optional like all the other assists.
For people like me, have an app on your phone where it brings it up and it shows you the map as you're flying through.
But yeah, it is fascinating, isn't it? Like, I remember, so when I first loaded up the PC version, and I flew, so I did like Manchester to Liverpool, or that was the flight plan. Took off from Manchester, and then I'm just like you say, when you just start spotting things. So I was flying over this area, and I was just like, that's fucking junction 19 on the M6. Hang on a bit, I think I can find where I grew up, and sort of followed like the main roads and managed to it's weird. And as you say, often quite dull and yet brilliant. I always laugh.
Trying to explain to people why you're playing this is... And
there is a game there. There's like challenges for you to do and stuff. It's not just, either like wander about in, with assists on, or play it as like a proper pilot. Like there's all like little sort of taking off and landing challenges and stuff that you can do with sort of various level of assists. Like there are things to tick off if you want. But as you say, but it's
running
weird.
Out of.
It's weird how long you can go without.
I'm slowly running out of landmarks that I want to go and fly over. Like, I've said to myself that I definitely want to. Sunday night with the live stuff, I definitely want to fly over the lay-by about 2 miles away from the M25 and the A1. I definitely want to fly over there, but that's like kind of the last landmark that I want to fly over, and then I'm kind of like, well, where do I go next? Maybe I'm done with the UK. But
have you done like places you've been on holiday and stuff?
No. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, right. That's given me 2 more places to visit. The caravan sites.
See, I did that. I took off from like Pudong Airport in Shanghai because I just thought, see if I can find my place there. But the trouble is it's you can't download maps for that, obviously. So it doesn't look great. Is the issue with that, which is a shame.
Oh, what is that an issue? Wait, is that an issue of what, the data not being available, or is it just, you mean they just haven't done an extra?
There isn't one. Okay. But then also, I'd imagine the data won't be available anyway, because Google Maps, they're not allowed to do things there. Yeah. There's like issues with it, the whole thing. So
Bing though, isn't it? It's a much better service. James from Google,
which is also accessible in China as well. But there are but they've also got there's a whole weird. No, I'm not going to go into this, but there's a whole weird thing with it. Like they've got like they use a different GPS system to like the rest of the world as well.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
like when I was first living there and we first had like iPhones and stuff, there was this really weird offset of like where you'd think like if you like do like where am I, you'd be in the street like across from where you are because they use a different system. It's really odd, like really strange. But
what was I going to say? So if you were to fly over North Korea, what would that look like?
Probably just generic buildings and stuff, wouldn't it? Like whatever they get from the satellite images, but there wouldn't be any detail.
That'd be interesting.
But there would be no actual
shit, man.
Yeah, just
and
the images.
I'm thinking that it's also got live.
That's what I had to do.
Yeah. Have you? Is every? Am I right in thinking that it's also got live air traffic control as well? So, like, if there's a plane flying from an airport in real life, that'll also be within the game.
Do you know? I'm not sure.
I think what is weird is seeing somebody else on the map that is playing it at the same time as you.
Yes,
and because I booted it up. I booted it up and I saw you, Dave. Like it just said like David Turner, and it was just like you flying like somewhere in like London or whatever.
Yeah, because I did this with a mate on the PC version. I'm like, oh yeah, let's try and like meet up in the air. It turns out not really a lot you can do, but it is quite cool.
I didn't know it did that. That's incredible.
It just shows you on the map. I mean, I didn't see you or anything, but yeah, it shows that you're.
If you'd like spawned where Dave was, you'd have seen him in the game. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
I would say you would have seen the aircraft in the air.
Yeah.
We just try and meet up.
Yeah, man.
Want a picture of 4?
Oh, that's a stream, isn't it?
Want a picture of 4 Airbuses next to each other.
Right. Okay, so that's a stream. We've all got to fly from our home, like our closest airport to where we are.
Okay.
And then we've all got to meet up
somewhere
where James is moving to. And we got to land next to his new place.
What, Air 51?
Because a few nights ago, it'd taken us ages to get Isaac to bed and stuff, and we were both knackered, and he was like, I don't want to like watch anything actually good. Like, let's just watch something we can talk over. And I said, like, right, how about instead we can just chat and stuff while I like fly over, like, well, we went on our honeymoon and stuff.
She actually said, I want a divorce.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to bed. No, it was weird because so our honeymoon was on Santorini, and that was really nice, like flying over there. And then I was like, oh, where else have we been? Turns out we've not really been anywhere else that's like interesting from the air.
Yeah,
so it's sort of so it was quite cool for the first 10 minutes, and then sort of fizzled out. But but you know, if you're actually if you're actually well travelled, it's probably more interesting.
I mean, I could talk about this game for a long time, but I think it might be quite dull. But you should know that we are all really enjoying this. So if you have got one of these new Xboxes and not access to a decent PC or whatever, then this is on Game Pass and you should play it. Yep. It is mad.
It's so like isn't it weird? It's so good and yet so easy to make fun of. Like,
oh god, yeah.
Like, have you seen the Eye Hospital?
What?
There's a plane in it that is an eye hospital, right?
What are you talking about?
And it's like you can't fly it, but you can literally just like look around inside it. And there's a whole like, I'm not making this up. There's a whole load of like, there's like a little sort of mini sort of article about it. It's this real plane that has an eye hospital in it, and it's got like a fucking conference room and like medical bays. It's apparently it flies around the world and, you know, goes to sort of disadvantaged poorer countries and delivers like training and medical support. And apparently, it just like parks up. It's got like its own fucking generators and water purifiers built in. And and they've just put that in the game. But you can't even fly it. You just like have a look around the interior.
Look, I mean, you're into whatever you're into. If I was into planes, then this would be absolutely incredible. But you know, I'm not. I'm into flying over flat pictures of buildings that I worked on. That's what I'm all about these days. Yeah, well, I need to there needs to be a stream involved. I'm thinking about a good idea for a stream. I mean, definitely the four of us meeting up sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
But also the idea of like flying around the world. Like doing a whole stream where I fly around the world, where I start off, at my house or whatever, and then I fly around the world, or something like that. Because then I could just sit and chat while the plane's doing its business, but at the same time we can fly. Yeah, we got to. Something's got to happen.
Yep.
Something's got to happen.
Yeah, I think during
I
the
want to
stream,
get to the point where I fly over the North Pole and the little compass on the screen just flips.
Goes nuts.
I'd love that.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, I'll almost certainly crash. I mean, I've done a lot of flying, and most of my flights end with it fades to black and says there's too much pressure put on the aircraft.
Oh, do you know what gets me?
Doing a crazy turn or something.
I don't know if it just does this in the Discovery tours or if you're playing normally, but it plays that like sad music when you crash.
No, I don't get that in
and
the
it's
normal.
I've never crashed. I've just the plane's fallen apart in midair.
Oh, okay.
I never actually.
You
crashed.
don't get like a sort of like wah 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 wah.
Have you not just set
but
it
it
to
does like
easy?
there's like so it plays this like sad sort of synth music, and then in the background it's like the sound of like an engine failing. It goes like, and it's just like, did you really need that? Did you really need to illustrate that?
It's like the sound of when your batteries run out on your Bluetooth headphones. I've always hated that.
Yep.
The Bluetooth headphones, the batteries are running out. It goes wah wah wah, or something stupid like
Battery low.
you fucked up. You should have charged it up, you twat. It's like, oh fuck's sake.
But yeah, Matt's right. The planes can only go like certain speeds before they just fucking rattle themselves apart. So if you
but it warns you very heavily that you should not. Yeah,
but I like
and
to
also
push
Matt.
it. I like to push the envelope even if I'm in an aircraft.
Right, okay. We really need to move on because I could talk about this game forever, but if you're not into it, then you're not into it. Let's talk about Death's Door now because Matt, you've started it. James, you've started it. I've finished it now. Sean, where are you at?
I've played a bit more, but not really enough to say anything else.
Okay, so Matt, how far into it?
I've finished it.
What?
Oh, right. I thought this was the case because I've seen you on it
I've also
for the past 2 days.
as well.
Right,
for God's sake.
okay. Right. First of all, we need to talk about the post-game stuff. We need to talk about that, but we'll do that at the end. I want to hear your opinions on it.
I really absolutely love this game. I mean, basically everything you said about it last week, you were right. There was a couple of things which I do find a little bit irritating in places. You know, like sometimes it's, in the heat of battle, sometimes it's quite difficult to see where you are, especially against like boss battles, and so you end up getting hit by accident. That gets a bit annoying sometimes. But apart from that, I mean, it's funny because I've heard this described as being like a Zelda game. It doesn't feel like a Zelda game at all to me. This feels much, it's because it's so combat focused, and there's not really any puzzles at all. I mean, there are
loads of puzzles, James.
There's not really.
Oh, there are loads of
easy.
puzzles. No, you haven't found them. No. There are some serious.
Do you mean the stuff like with the urns where you got like put them in the right order and stuff like that?
Yeah, all that stuff. That's straight out of Zelda.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. It's not in the same way that you don't need it to progress, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not solving dungeons.
Well, no,
as
of
such.
course you don't. No, but they're in there. And there's some puzzle solving in
there
dungeons.
is, but
they're pretty straightforward.
But it is still primarily a combat focused game, I would say, rather than puzzles.
100%. See, for me, I would say there's a lot of people saying that this doesn't feel like Zelda at all, which is fine. But for me, it feels like a Zelda game where the combat's actually good. Do you know what I mean?
Fighting talk.
Does that not?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
I think to be more polite, I would say that the emphasis is much more heavy on the combat than it is in a Zelda game. I think the Zelda games are the combats are relatively light touch on purpose, whereas this is Again, I don't want to make the I was going to say like is it a bit more soulsy? It's not really, is it? Other than the fact
it gets hard.
It does
gets
get
very hard,
and it's quite precise.
I think
it's a bit
towards the end, it's very Dark Soulsy. I thought. Like, honestly,
I don't know if it is because Dark Souls is way more punishing. Like you're talking about a specific fight, right? And we can say the Betty fight, right? So those that have played that bit know about it. Those that don't, we're not spoiling anything. But the Betty fight feels the most Souls this game has come to me.
I don't know
that and the final battle, right? The point is, with those games, with the Souls games, the checkpointing is such that part of the battle is the run up, or the lead up to the boss. Whereas this, it just plonks you right in front of the boss again, like every time. It feels way more chilled out than Souls.
That's true. Apart from the last one, is not like that, obviously, because you have to go through quite a run
like
to get to it.
Yeah, but there's still a checkpoint before and after that bit.
That's true.
So,
but then there are some locations where it can take a while to get back to certain places if you haven't unlocked a shortcut from to the front of that area.
You should be unlocking those shortcuts. They're there.
This is the other thing about it, because I found the whole experience of it, there are puzzles and stuff, and you can go off the beaten track if you want to. You can totally do that. But it's quite. See, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not saying this in a bad way at all, but it's quite linear as well. If you want to just mainline through, you can very easily. Whereas with
100%,
with a Zelda game, you can't do that in the same way, because Zelda games, it's you have to solve the puzzles to get through dungeons and stuff. This isn't like that. It really isn't. You can, and I don't mean that as a criticism at all, because I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed thinking, okay, I'm in this in this dungeon now, and I know what I need to do to get through this, and I'm enjoying the mechanics of how this is working. That was brilliant.
Well, I don't understand what you mean when you say you don't need to solve a puzzle to get through. There's puzzles where you need to do that to get one of the lights to light up the door to progress through it.
That's not really a puzzle. It's really obvious what you got to do. It's not like it's not like a head scratcher.
But then I will say, right, okay,
it's not a head scratcher.
I accept your point, James, totally. But if we are talking Zelda versus Death's Door here, I will say this, right? So the puzzles in Zelda are not challenging either. They're very straightforward. You break this. In fact, actually, a lot of the stuff in Zelda is clear the room of enemies. But what I will say, where it improves on that formula, is that one of the things that's really irritating about the dungeons in the first sort of Zelda games is the amount of backtracking. And whereas this, it kind of does, there's hardly any really, unless you're going for 100% and you're finding the secrets and stuff. If you are going through the story-led part, it is very much, once you've done this area, it puts you back to the middle bit where you come to the fork in the road where you've got to split off to the other areas. There's not go here, do that, then go back to this part of the dungeon, then do that, then go back to that part of the dungeon and do that again.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that at all.
I totally agree. That's what I mean about it being quite linear, though, but in a really good way. It guides you where to go. And especially the unlocking shortcuts and stuff like that. That's brilliant, because that once you've done, you're okay, I'm now how I can get through this area and stuff like that. It's
there's one area in particular that's hilarious, because as you're unlocking shortcuts, you can see that it's a straight run, literally a straight run from your spawn point right the way to the next area.
There's at least two areas where it's done that, the Flooded Fortress and some other one. It's the shortcuts basically mean you go straight. Which I love. But it was the Flooded Fortress thing where it took a while for me to get the first shortcut, and I kept kind of dying and then going back. But whatever. I think the shortcuts are brilliant, because you're okay, I've got this now. I know even if I die now, I will be able to whiz through this bit, and I think they've really done really well. Well, one thing you're saying about the dungeons being linear, they are linear, but they're done in such a way whereby, okay, I've unlocked this now, so this will take me through to here, brilliant. Now you feel like you're exploring it, even though there's actually not much exploration. It's guiding you.
That's what I mean.
You've got a task of, say, unlocking 4 things, or you have to do 4 things, but there's not a specific order that you need to do them in.
Yeah.
That's how it gets around that, and that doesn't mean that it's not linear, because as I say, James, I agree. I do think it is way more linear, certainly, than the older Zelda games or whatever. But it is very much it gives you the idea that you've got some sort of freedom in what you're doing, when really you haven't actually got that much. It is literally 4 paths, and you can take them in whatever order you want.
Yeah, and it quickly becomes apparent that, because you don't get that anxiety of, which way should I go? Because you're I know that I'm going to have to go this way at some point anyway, so it's fine, so you just keep going through.
Sure.
But the combat is excellent. I said
it really is.
Because I was talking with Matt about this before we recorded, because I think we finished it reasonably around the same sort of time, because I was just playing it this evening, and man, I felt awful after I finished this game, in the sense that my heart was going like nuts, like for that final battle. Yeah. Like seriously, like I was like, it was probably about half an hour afterwards, and my heart was still like pumping, like from that, and I've not felt that for a very long time playing a game. Actually, you know, that real sort of like intensity of like whether you're going to make it or not, and then you do. And
was
then
the last
release...
game you felt that? Was it Dark Souls?
It may well even have been, actually, like the last time you get that sort of thing. And it does that thing that you do get in Souls games, and I don't want to... I mean, obviously people say, oh, yeah, everyone just brings that up. But I do think the comparison is apt here, you know, with the fact that it's got that whole risk-reward thing of, like, you know, if you get greedy, you get punished, you know, for that. And, you know, you just have to time everything, like, absolutely perfectly. It's fantastic like that. But it always feels really fair. It doesn't
introduce that stuff till later, does it?
No.
Like, when you think about the earlier... Like the first part of the game, the long part of the game, I'm talking, you know, everything up until the third giant soul that you have to collect. Like, it's pretty standard action stuff. But then it sort of just ups the intensity of those boss fights, doesn't it? And it's like, whoa, okay, right, serious now. Like the first time you attempt to beat Betty, you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? How am I even going to do this? And it's what's crazy is that I said this to James as well. The boss fights towards the end are really interesting because they're the sort of boss fights where you start them and you're like, I'm never going to do this. This is beyond my skill level. And by the time you beat them, you've beaten them with full health. And you're like, I just know everything about this boss fight now.
And you know that bit towards the end that I was telling you about, where I sent you a message saying I really wish there was more like checkpoints on this bit, and you know the bit I'm talking about. But actually, after I did it, I was like, actually no, that was actually fine. It's just that it teaches you that you have to learn those bits, and like once you've learnt it, it's actually not that hard. It's like you just have to have the practice.
I mean, you know, obviously not being anywhere. You know, anywhere as far through the game as you guys have. But the boss fights I have done have felt like an interesting, active learning process rather than just I need to keep doing this until I can predict every movement and I can learn all the tells and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like with Dark Souls, learning a boss just felt like doing it over and over again until I just sort of built up the necessary sort of reactions and being able to predict what they're going to do. Whereas this, I feel like when I'm learning a boss in this, I'm like sort of talking to myself, like, right, so when they're doing this movement, it's like makes more sense for me to try and be over here and then try and do this, and then I can get a dash attack in here, or this is where I can get a good 3-hit combo in here. Or what? Do you know what I mean? It feels like a much more like logical
the intensity
thing.
Changes,
yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. I think it starts off being a bit more simple, and in that case, it's an interesting a level above a Zelda combat. But then, like I think we the Betty one, I was saying to James before, that felt like the most Dark Souls boss. You know, because you've learned the moves. It's just about putting it together, and Dave, also, you're totally right. At first, I was like, I got no chance. I'm getting smashed left, right, and centre. I said to James, "Have you done this one yet? How do I even do it?" And after learning some moves and doing some other stuff that James recommended, it's like, I definitely got a flow, and that felt like the most flow-like boss, and therefore felt like the most kind of Souls-like boss. Yeah, it's brilliant. That was brilliant once I'd done it.
Can I ask you guys something? Did you do the latter part of the game with any of the upgrades? Like, did you have more health or more magic than you start off with?
Yes and no. I had the better sword, although it's not a better sword because there's the great sword which you can get. But the thing is the other thing that is really good about this game is the weapons are all like very balanced in the sense that none of them are actually really better than other. They're just, it depends on your play style, but also, like how what you're facing, basically. Like, so the great sword is slightly more powerful than the standard weapon, but you can only swing it twice, so you only get 2 hits in rather than being able to do like a flurry like kind of attack. So for me, I preferred that. It worked a lot better for me. But then on other enemies, I found like the regular sword was still better. So I went for that. I didn't upgrade my health though or my magic at all because I didn't find those shrines. I only found like 1 or 2, and it wasn't enough.
They're quite stingy, aren't they? I mean, they're quite hard to find, and you need a lot of them to. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of by design.
Yeah.
It's the same, but like I didn't unlock a single weapon before going towards the end thing. I just had my sword and that was it. So it felt like I missed a lot. But let me tell you this then. So
just on that stuff before we go on, yeah. So I was struggling on Betty. I found the game pretty hard overall, but I struggled on Betty. I said to James, "Have you done it yet? What's the deal? I need tell me about that sword thing." So I went off and got that. And I think maybe just before that I'd got another weapon, but maybe some daggers or something, and they weren't very good. So I was still with a basic sword. And it was when I started struggling that I started looking for the shrines, and I'd already got like maybe 2 of each or 3 of one and 1 of the other, and then so I got another one there. I got like the upgrades for both magic and vitality or whatever it is. So yeah, I did that because I needed help. I mean, I think, and when I went back to Betty after that, I'm like still getting smashed, but in the end, I just learned it and it was a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to Google them?
Did you have to
look them up?
Yeah, I mean, I got a first, like the 2 of each or whatever, but yeah, because I'd barely seen any, and I was like, how many of these things are there? Are there loads? I just can't find them. I mean, there's not a huge amount, but yeah, they're very well hidden, and then some of them I found, but I just couldn't get to because I assume I was still waiting other tools that I would receive later.
Okay. So I finished up, and again, one more shout out to the soundtrack in that game because my word, that music gets into your head like a game hasn't. Hades was the last one that did that to me, where the music properly got into my head.
There's one bit of music that sounds so much like a Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, really?
Bit, yeah. I think it's when you're in like the first main location with all like the bridges. It's basically where you see the other crow and then they tell you what the mission is.
Nexus.
I can't remember what that place was called, but yeah, there's a bit of music there that sounds exactly like Final Fantasy VII. It's beautiful, but in the whole soundtrack is gorgeous. It's quite epic. It's quite Hans Zimmer at points. But then like the music, like the Betty boss music, it was kind of epic, but in quite a light way. I thought that was really.
There's a lot of that. I was saying to Dave the other day. So when you first get into, in the forest area, and when you get into the dungeon there, and there's that really nice transition because it's sort of the same piece of music, but the instrumentation changes as you transition into the underground bit, and it's just it goes from this sort of, not like bombastic, but this sort of quite a big sort of orchestral arrangement to then basically just down to like a classical guitar. And it's just, and because you're moving from this, this big open space into a very enclosed one, it's just weird. It's really beautifully done.
Yeah, Harry turned around the other day, he was watching me play it, and he went, Dad, why is the music so sad in this game? And I was like, I suppose it is, isn't it?
It is really kind of it. But that's what I love, isn't it? It is quite melancholy, but people have still got a sense of humour. Like, we said this last week, didn't we? That's why.
That's another
one thing that really makes it stand out is that. One thing that again stops
There's some good gags in there.
Yeah, and it's another thing that sort of resists the Dark Souls comparisons. It is funny and not in a. Like, it's not a comedy game. It's just characters being naturally funny, and just some quirky bits of writing and stuff. It's great.
I think there's one bit where one of the characters is like, "That was a banger" or something like that, and you're like, "That was great."
Oh yeah, it uses some slang in there and stuff,
I think
and some innuendo here and there, which is always
welcome. Because the devs are, I don't know if they're from, but they're certainly based near Manchester.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. British.
Right, okay, so firstly, in terms of the story behind the game, Sean, are you how closely are you following it? Is there a sense of you sort of saying, okay, I'm not really, it's sort of lost me a bit?
I'm following it. It's not, I think it's intentionally done, isn't it? So that you don't really, you don't really know what's going on, other than a problem has been created for you. So even if you don't care about, the overall aims of this other crow that you meet, he makes it your problem, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So as I'm playing it, that is my motivation, but I'm guessing that changes.
here's the thing, right? I'm pleased to report that I got to about halfway through playing this game and was like, I'm not even following what was really going on here.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I know exactly what's going on, and it's beautifully explained. And oh my god, is that story heartbreaking and also wonderful at the same time? It's really, really good. So don't worry about it. Is my bit of advice for you. And I'd love to talk to you guys about it, but obviously I don't want to talk to Sean about it yet.
I think I'll just give you some really great podcasts about this and maybe articles. Yeah, the story does some really wonderful things.
Yeah, and when you go back and you start realising what's going on, it's a bit of a like, oh, right, okay. It's one of those moments. But right, okay. So I finished the game and I went, right, that's it. I've had a wonderful time with it. It's getting deleted. And then the next day, Harry asked me to put it on again because he wanted to just see some more. So I was like, well, I suppose I could do some puzzles. Today I stumbled across, I didn't look into any of this, by the way, but there was no way I was going to 100% it. And then I stumbled across something that changes things dramatically and made me go, okay. So 100% in this game isn't, okay, now go and find all the seeds and go and collect all of the gems and go and do this. It doesn't do that at all. It kind of continues a narrative in terms of mystery and intrigue, and oh my god, I am totally in. Like, I've
heard there's multiple endings. Is that right?
Well, I assume so, because it certainly feels like I'm working towards an ending, but it feels like I need to 100% it. So, whereas in games before, you 100% it would be go and collect these items, then you'll get a little notice to say you've collected all those items, and then that's you 100%ed. There's a little 100% next to your save now. That's done. Whereas this one's like, you've just done this, and this has changed things. And look at this. This is all weird shit that you haven't seen before. So deal with this now. And you deal with it, and you go, okay, so now I guess this is my new motive, to go and collect these things that didn't exist before. And the only way I can do that is by finding everything. And once I've found everything, I can do this, and then that lets me find that. And so it must have an ending at the end of it. But it's really challenging. Like, it's really intimidating to think that I've got to do all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm so pumped, because it's not just go and collect things. It's here's all this weird shit, and it's leading towards something. So now it's got my attention. I think I'm going to do that.
It sounds, James will know better than me, this sounds very Hollow Knight, in that you play it through, you get the ending, and it's not a bad ending, it's just like a little bit disappointing. And then and then it turns out that you get the other endings by like 100%ing it. But as you say, it's not just collect all the items. It's like there's additional story. There's like, it really fleshes some things out and contextualizes a lot of things. And some of the best stuff in the game is tucked away there. It sounds like they've been sort of inspired by that.
There is a very like Hollow Knight vibe about this game in general, I felt. Like, as in like the music and just the atmosphere is quite similar. And not in a bad way, in a very good way. It's really good. Mm.
It's it borrows a lot, but not in a way.
No, it builds enough.
It's not obvious. It's not. It's totally its own thing.
Yeah, I finished it, and I knew there's other stuff that I didn't do in the main game, because I saw some enemies who were like way too hard, and I was like, this is an absolute joke. And because
I'm still getting challenged. I'm still getting challenged in terms of combat, which is really surprising to me. There's certain enemies that I've not come across before in my first my initial playthrough. And that I'm going, okay, brilliant. I've got a combat challenge again. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Have you tried it? Because like how the core items you can get, how you can upgrade them all, like through combat as well. Have you?
Well,
tried
I only realised
that
after I finished it, when I eventually beat one of those dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Right.
What?
So the bombs and like the arrows and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they
so I unlocked one of those on my initial run through, which was the fire one, where you can keep the fire burning for a while.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can beat any of them,
and that was that
would have been really useful on Betty. That's why I wish I'd had that one, because that.
Yeah, I think I use that on Betty a lot actually. Yeah, the other items, the other upgrades you can get for each item doesn't seem as good. but that certainly was, that was an eye opener. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in this game, man. It's way deeper than you initially think, and my word, I'm going to continue to play it. So all I'll suggest to you guys is, even if you think you're done, just go and see that next bit and see what you think.
Oh, no,
and if you need help,
I've already done that. After I finished, I went back and I've already seen something.
You done the bell thing?
Yeah, I've done the bell thing, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing that completely blew my mind, basically. And I just went, right, I'm totally into to play more of this.
It feels like there's an absolute shitload to do now. So I wasn't really going to give up an eye because I wanted to get the upgraded spells and keep having a look around, because there's loads of other stuff. I'm like, I don't even know how you get. I can see like an extra like soul, there's like the soul balls to get like 100 souls. Yeah. I can see I don't know how you even get there, and I've got all the things I should have to be able to traverse the entire map, but I don't know how you even get there. So I wasn't going to let it go. And then when I saw the bell thing, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm definitely not out of this yet.
I mean, working out what happens with those discs on the floor as well for the first time, and just going, I didn't even know this was in their game. Like that move. I can't believe I've done that.
Because I've spotted those discs, and I assumed there was some sort of relevance, but I don't know.
Well, I can tell you, because it's not a spoiler. Okay. But if they're always over a ledge, and if you're on the ledge, drop off the ledge and do the attack, and he does a slam attack, and you go down, and it's a tunnel to a secret.
Ah, okay.
When I first saw them, I thought, okay, I guess I'll get an ability later that means that they'll maybe air will go through it, and I'll shoot in the air or something, and yeah. I think I did it accidentally or something or sometime, and there's
just
lots
quickly
still to discover.
I mean, I've not seen the credits. I assume they had additional help, but did you know this is basically made by 2 people?
Yeah, so I've heard.
And I know, ever since World of Goo came out, like that should not be a surprise, but fucking hell, like, one of those people did the soundtrack.
Yeah,
and loads of other shit.
I can't even comprehend it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. It's so impressive.
Yeah.
So it is a 2-person team from Manchester. Crazy.
Yeah.
What a game. What an excellent game. You should absolutely play this. You're listening to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely play this.
It's one of those, isn't it? I don't know who I wouldn't recommend it to.
Yep. Same. Same.
Yeah.
It's the purest. I mean, if you really don't like difficult combat games, then I guess...
But
maybe
then,
not. But
then prior to playing this, I would have told you that I'm bored of hard games and I love this.
Yeah.
So
because the difficulty, the progression and the way it deals with difficulty spikes is just spot on.
Yeah,
it's just utterly spot on.
It never really gets like irritating, does it? Like it doesn't ask too much of you, I don't think, which is what I really liked.
No, it's never... I mean, it definitely got really hard. I mean, I kept having your words ringing around my ears, Dave, and I was, like, struggling or getting, like, smashed. And Dave's like, you just said, oh, it's tricky. And I was like, no, this is definitely fucking hard. But it's always within reach because, again, you know what to do. And maybe you didn't. Maybe I didn't press the button at the right time, or maybe I got greedy, as James said. But yeah, I think it's definitely gets hard, definitely. And some of the bosses are really tricky, but you've got all the tools, and it's not too far out of reach. It's always feels like, hey, if I just do a little bit better, a little bit faster, learn a little bit more, I'll get through it. I was never like throwing my pad out the window or rage quitting the game, but there was definitely some tricky bits. I mean, yeah, the flooded fortress, some of the bits actually leading up to a boss were actually tougher than the boss itself.
Yeah, some of the encounters are really
that boss is not too hard at all, really. The easiest boss in the game.
I think it's wrong to say it's not a hard game. I think it is a hard game.
But
it's more tricky than hard.
I mean, I think it's hard, but it's just a lot of these you can beat with patience. You just need to be patient, and then you can overcome.
Yeah,
like observation and understanding pays off as much as skill, I think. In terms of the movesets, it's very much there are like 4 moves for this boss.
Yeah. It's not like it never gets to the point where it's like what. Even though some of the bosses have phases, all that is one additional move that it can use against you. It doesn't do anything crazy with that stuff. So that's where I'm coming from. But anyway, right, that is a game that you should absolutely play. I absolutely adore it. But we should probably move on, right? Anyone else?
I think I'm going to be playing it for a while. A lot long, because I was like, okay, rushing to get this game finished for today so we can discuss it. But then after finishing, I'm like, okay, well, Yeah, I think it's going to be. It feels like there's a lot more. Maybe, but maybe it isn't. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot more still to do. So I think it'll be a while until I'm done with this.
Yeah, same. Okay, just very briefly, because there are more important games to talk about. More important, bit dismissive, but I started Last Stop, James.
Oh yeah, I finished this actually.
The Virginia devs. What weird experience this is. I mean, everything James said is absolutely bang on. It's a narrative-driven game where you have literally no agency or direction in what you can do within that game. I assume, I'd like to watch some other people's playbacks, but I'm assuming that it is very much straightforward in terms of, like, very linear in terms of the story. James's criticisms were actually bang on. The changing the camera stuff. The amount of times that I realised that I was supposed to be controlling it when I wasn't. Like, I had my head down just watching it, and all of a sudden the character's just standing there, and it looks weird. There was a bit, I sent you a clip, James, where the camera angle changed from behind your character to behind the character that called you over.
Yeah.
So I pressed forward. Assuming that I was controlling the character in the foreground, but I was actually controlling the character in the background, so it looks like someone calls you over, the camera angle changes, and you just walk off in the other direction, like really rudely. Like, there's stuff like that, and it is, the running animations look terrible and stuff.
Yeah,
but
they do.
I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like going, there's something to this though, right?
Yeah.
There is something that I can't work out what they're nailing, and I think it is the quick cut stuff, which we'd seen in Virginia, and it is in this. The moments where you're talking to a character, then you hear a car engine before the scene cuts over to you in a car, and you go, oh, that transition really works. And obviously we don't see that often in video games because, loading in data for the next scene while in the current scene is not an easy thing to do in gaming, right, as we all know. But here it fucking nails all that stuff, and it feels really fresh for doing so. The story is, I'm into all of the stories at the moment, even though some characters in there are a little bit cliche or whatever. All the stuff you've heard about the representation of London within this game is bang on. There's literally streets that you look at and go, I know that street, even though it's not accurately representing one part of London. It's just bringing in familiar things that you'd see, like those green iron bridges for trains. They seem to be everywhere, and it's bang on. These little, not courtyard bits, but these little square of shops and stuff that you go, that looks like so many places I've been to in London.
Yeah, especially where there's that fish and chip shop. Like, that looks so much like many places that I've been in my life.
Yeah. The shop that you walk in and to buy the duct tape and everything.
Yeah.
Is like, this just looks like every shop like this that I ever go in. It's so good. What I will ask, right? So I'm 2 chapters into most of the stories. I think all of the stories, actually. I'm on chapter 3 for the 3 stories.
Yeah.
Is it worth sticking with, do you reckon?
Yeah, I really think it is.
It comes together then, does it?
Yes. I mean, okay, it takes a turn at the end, which the reason I'd like you to play it is because I'd love to know what you think of where it goes, because it's certainly interesting. But yeah, I think I definitely would say stick with it, because I really, really enjoyed this, actually. Like, I had a great time with it. It's not even very long, really, like, because those earlier chapters, they're quite long, whereas later on they start to become much more sort of compact, and they don't take anywhere near as long to sort of get through, but still very satisfying. I hope you do, because I want to know what you think of the ending of this. I really do.
Oh, I'm definitely going to stick with it. I'll definitely see it through. I mean, each of the stories, I think, individually are really interesting, and there's some cool stuff in there, and they're so wildly different to one another, that I'm really excited about to see. Yeah, as you said last week, I think I'm at the same point as you were last week when you were talking about this game. Like, I'm absolutely fascinated to see where they go with it, how they tie things together, if they tie things together, how they wrap up some of the stories and stuff like that. There's some really funny stuff in there. There's some great lines, especially with the we could talk about it a little bit. The story where 2 people switch bodies, essentially. Where there's a dad and a single dad and a sort of local tech health guy, a younger fella, the way they switch bodies, there's some funny lines in that. Just even the shot where they work out who they are, that they've switched bodies or whatever, and it's a shot from outside the flats, and one of them just goes, shit!
Yeah.
It's just, that stuff is great. And, you know, the sort of younger guy complaining that everything wobbles as he's walking around, and how the hell do you cope with all this and all that sort of stuff. And the response like I chose was, yeah, you'll get there, don't worry. Like, just give it 15 years, this will be you. Like, it's
it's all that, like,
all that stuff is just really good.
Yeah, because like there's the old guy in the young guy's body, he's just like, this running feels nice. It's like I can still do this.
Yeah, and you find out, this is kind of spoilers, but I guess it's not. But like when you find out that the dad's had a heart attack, and then when the younger person in the dad's body is running away, the other guy shouts out, "Shut! Slow down! You'll give me another heart attack!" It's like he's genuinely worried about how fast the other guy's running because he knows the state of the body he's running in. All that stuff is absolutely fantastic. So I will stick with it. It's just a weird experience. I can't quite nail down.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
what they're getting right, because there's a lot they're getting wrong, I think. But there's something in it, and I just think this is.
It's because technically it's still quite janky in places, but then still
really
impressive
janky,
in others. You know, which is what's really odd about it. Like with as you said, like the quick cuts and stuff are impressive, but then other stuff is like, you know, you must have had stuff like, you know, people just like walking into walls and stuff like that.
I actually regret not doing this from the start, but I think I'm going to, every time I unintentionally, and I'm not going to fake it at all, every time I make it look stupid by accident, I think I'm going to do a clip and then do a super cut of all the weird little scenes where I get stuff wrong. And, you know, you'll see, the funniest is when there's a camera angle like from a certain thing, but you don't know which street to walk down or which direction the game wants the character to walk down. So sometimes you walk off like down a road, but then the camera stops and you just walk off of shot. And then you go, oh, I need to go up there. So you walk back into shot and up, and it just looks proper funny, like as if someone's just cocked up a scene or something. It looks like that. So I think I might cut them all together, but you know, depends how much work it goes into it. But my word, yeah, an interesting game, and again on Game Pass, it's well worth trying it out. Weird experience that is. So, right, that's Last Stop. I mean, I'll talk about that once I've finished it then, James.
Yeah, that was one of many Game Pass games I installed after you talked about it last week. But so it's on my list. I'm looking forward to it, because I really like Virginia. I thought it was really excellent.
I loved it just until the ending.
Yeah, it had some quirks, shall we say, but I loved it. I loved all the quick cut stuff. So I'm interested to see how they've improved upon that, and the fact it's kind of based over in Britain as well.
They've definitely improved upon it. Whereas in Virginia, it was you're walking down a hall and suddenly you're in the room that you were walking to. This certainly feels more like TV.
Yeah,
it feels like a TV show, you know. Yeah, and the way it deals with that stuff is absolutely fantastic. Right, okay, Matt, I'm interested to hear what you think of the Halo multiplayer technical alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is only on between, I think it's probably up, the 29th. So was that Thursday until Sunday? In fact, I went to play it tonight, and then I got sad because I realised, no, it's actually over. Because I went to play it, it's like, you're not allowed to do this. I was like, what's happened? I was part of no, it just turns out it ended yesterday. So yeah, they did they're calling it a multiplayer test, alpha test, or technical alpha. I'm sure there'll be many more of these in the future, but I got into the first one. And so it was just up until last night. I didn't actually play it last night, but I believe last night they actually turned the ability to play versus humans, because the first few days it's just been against bots. So it's just 4-on-4 Slayer against, so 4 humans against 4 bots. Those bots actually, they've been gradually increasing in difficulty throughout the weekend. On the first day, or first couple, I played it on the Saturday, so they're probably even easier on the Thursday and Friday. But on the Saturday, they were starting to actually like attack in groups, and they're getting really, really good with grenades. Anyway, so basically it's you have loads of different weapons. I'm not sure if you have every weapon in the game, but you had like 10, 11, 12 weapons. You had these new power weapons. one of which is called the Skewer, where you're basically firing these huge metal rods at enemies. There's a hammer. There's one called Heat Wave, I think, where you can basically fire this wave of heat, and you can either do it vertically or horizontally. So you have power weapons in multiplayer matches. There are 3 maps available. I only got a chance to play 2. I played a bunch of matches on his 2 maps, but I never got a chance to play the 3rd map. And it's first to 50. It's standard Slayer rules. And I'm pleased to say that it felt absolutely fantastic to be playing Halo multiplayer again. I know there's obviously been lots of talk about Battle Royale and whether they'll do it and so on and so forth. What does Halo need to do to stay relevant? But it just felt fantastic just to play a standard Slayer match, and this just against bots. I'm sure it's going to be even better when I get a chance to play against other humans. But it didn't, I wasn't feeling, I wish it was a Battle Royale. I think the Slayer mode works, and Halo feels bloody good to be sliding around corners. They've also got like a hook shot type thing where you can traverse around the level. That makes things really, really quick, really, really fun and fast.
Did you see that video of someone using it on a weapon?
No, I'm seeing that.
They said it was something, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but they were standing in this map and there was a rocket launcher on this little island, and they went, "Watch this," and they chucked a grenade at the rocket launcher, like hoping that the grenade would fire the rocket launcher over to where they were, but it didn't. It flew off like it was slightly further away from them, but over a void. So they used the grapple thing to just fire it at the rocket launcher, and it grappled it and pulled it towards them. And I was like, that just looks insanely cool.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I think they did that on maybe like the trailer for this when they showed off a multiplayer trailer, I guess at E3.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they had a moment where someone's using the grapple hook to pick something up. But he ran really well considering it as an alpha. I guess because against bots, but the 2 maps I played were really, really fantastic. It felt old school in a way I kind of haven't played like an arena shooter for a long time. And I know Destiny does it with Crucible, so it's not like every game now these days is a battle royale, and you don't get
Call of Duty
smaller...
still does that style of gameplay, doesn't it?
Yeah, it still does that, but it just felt maybe it's because it's Halo, because everyone's kind of buzzing on Twitter because they were playing it, and it just felt like it felt really special to be playing. And yeah, the game looks great. It ran really, really well. All the weapons feel really, really nice and meaty. It hasn't got aim down sights on all the weapons. I think it's only really the pistol where it's got like an aim down sight kind of thing, unless I missed that. And yeah, it felt really, really good. I can't wait for the next one. Hopefully, more people get to play that. Hopefully, they'll start with playing against human players straight away. Maybe more maps as well as the actual playing. You also get what's it called, like the Academy, I think it is, where you basically get to try out every single weapon. You get to try out the alternative fire, and there's like some target courses basically. But it's an opportunity to at least try all the weapons rather than trying to learn how weapons work in the heat of combat.
Yeah.
They also showed off. They had like a lot of the menus open to show off like the battle pass and this and that. I mean, you can do anything on it, of course, and but it showed you like kind of daily challenges, the weekly challenges, and how you would progress on a battle pass, so you can see how things will look. Maybe they'll unlock bits of them in the next technical test. But it got me really, really excited for the game, and I loved I think it's Halo 2 multiplayer, and Halo 5 Guardians was not a good Halo game, but when like me, John, and Chet played like bits of that, it's kind of the much smaller like 3-on-3, almost like esports focused multiplayer mode. I can't remember what it's called. I thought that was really, really fun. It's kind of really boiled it down to the basics, and that felt fantastic. I was never massively into like the big team battle mode. Halo multiplayer modes also, because it had like cards and stuff, and it's just it wasn't really for me at all.
You all right, James? You okay, James?
Yeah.
He's gone.
Okay.
It wasn't really for me at all, but this just being simple 4-on-4, even against bots, it just felt great to play, and I can't wait for the next one.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really make me think differently about single player or about the game overall. But this gets me excited for more Halo multiplayer. It's just...
Well, it's promising.
It's definitely promising. Yeah, definitely. It looked really, really good. There's so many parts of these maps where you can see really, really far. Obviously, they're still like closed arenas, but that helps. That helps definitely to have like such a long draw distance. And yeah, it's just awesome playing Halo.
It's funny. One of the rumours that I was going to put in the fantasy zone was actually that there is Battle Royale is coming to this, because there was some sound clips that were found, like data mined or whatever, of the voice going Battle Royale and stuff like that. So but then it's argument as to whether that's just unused clips or whatever like that, whether it's going to happen or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. One thing about
that's not the spoiler shit that they were talking about, right?
No,
there was also that story.
That was plot stuff. There's.
Oh, that sucks, man. Like, yeah. But then at the same time, how have they made that mistake? What weird. They know that people data mine this shit the moment it hits the internet. Why?
But the thing is with the plot stuff, it's not even, from what I read, it doesn't really reveal anything. It's just like some character names and stuff like that, which there's no context, so it doesn't really help.
Yeah, but some people are way into that story. Even though I haven't followed it since the opening level of the first game. I haven't really followed the Halo storyline, but some people are bang into it. So even I'm sure even character names would be a massive spoiler for some people.
Yeah.
Okay. Halo.
Halo good.
Okay, Halo good.
Good.
Sean.
Hello.
Tell us about the Ascent.
I've been playing the Ascent, which launched on Game Pass this week. This is
high praise. High praise.
Really, I've only seen negative things about this. I've not seen any.
Really? Oh, no, it's definitely been mostly positive.
Really?
Yeah. Mostly, in terms of reviews and stuff. I think even the most positive ones have had criticisms, but generally speaking, it's been well received. But yeah, so this is the sort of top down, but not quite. I don't know what the fucking term is, right? Because it's not quite top down. Apparently, isometric is the wrong term, even though if I say isometric, everyone knows what I mean, and it's right. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a lower isometric. That's what it kind of looks like to me.
Yes. Yeah, basically. Sci-fi RPG shooter set in this sort of, essentially sort of planet-sized sort of factory where everyone lives on different levels. The whole planet is owned by a corporation, the Ascent Corporation, and people sort of go to this planet sort of being promised a better life and steady work and steady pay, whereas actually what they find when they get there is that it's a total shithole and they're essentially slaves to this corporation, just completely owns them forever. You arrive on this planet and you have your fee for being taken to the planet is so astronomical you'll never pay it off and blah blah blah. So pretty typical sort of grim cyberpunk / it's a bit Necromunda if you're into your Warhammer sort of setting, and basically very early on in the game the Ascent Corporation goes bankrupt and sort of leaves this planet sort of essentially to its own devices, and it's really interesting because you see the various ways people interpret that. Some people are like, all right, brilliant, fuck it, this is it, we're free. Others are like, well, no, we're not, because basically, what can we actually, we can't affect any meaningful change here. Our best bet is to just sit tight and wait for another company to buy the place. Some people are like Ascent corp purists, and there's literally people like, no, the corporation only dies if we let it. We just need to keep, going.
I work with a lot of those people.
Well, this is it. And then there's others who are just sort of being quite realistic about the situation and sort of being quite, practical and just thinking, right, well, fine, this has happened, but how do we sort of continue to survive? And that's your boss for the first part of the game, is one of these people who was kind of like a fixer, right, setting up jobs and stuff, and has sort of now taken this role of well, the police are going to figure out no one's paying them soon, so we need to fucking sort shit out before it gets ugly and make sure people are fed and everything, but it's basically the way it plays is it's sort of essentially a twin stick shooter with RPG elements. I think a lot of people, myself included, are expecting the RPG stuff to be a lot more fleshed out. It's pretty basic in terms of like, okay, your character levels up, you get more health, you do a bit more damage, whatever. You get like abilities, but they're things like, grenades, or it might be like a little drone you can send out and it like freezes enemies or whatever. And then you also get like cybernetic abilities, which, I mean, starts off pretty strong. You get this melee ability to begin with, and it fucking, like, you hit people with it and it looks like you've fucking punched their soul out of their body. It's incredible. And yeah, so like the RPG stuff's pretty light, but it is a much more enjoyable shooter than I'd anticipated. Like, I thought it was going to be like an okay shooter with interesting RPG stuff. It's actually an okay RPG with really good shooting. Like, there's a really, decent cover system. There's like, obviously, because of the viewpoint, there's no aiming down sights, but if you hold the left trigger, you go from shooting from the hip to like raising your gun up, which means you can use that to shoot over cover. It also makes you a bit more accurate, but you also move a bit more slowly. And it's just a nice way of sort of varying the pace when you're engaging with people at different range and stuff. Like, it just feels good to sort of, charging around, sort of blasting in all directions, and then suddenly with some people at a bit of range, it's like, right, left trigger, and then sort of picking them off at a distance. Feels really good. Like, it looks absolutely stunning. Apparently doesn't use ray tracing on the consoles. I can't fucking tell. It looks absolutely beautiful. The lighting is stunning. It does a really good job of, like, obviously the fixed viewpoint is, I mean, it's not necessarily like a budget thing. This is made by a relatively small team. It's like 11 people, I think. And you do sort of think, well, obviously a team that small could not create, like Night City from Cyberpunk 2077, for example. But they could do it.
The devs of Cyberpunk
500 people couldn't create it, So on the one hand, you sort of think, okay, so they've done this to sort of, restrict your viewpoint somewhat, so they don't have to create this like entire, if there was a free camera, you'd probably see loads of stuff that's like not, non-existent, not finished, whatever. But it doesn't skimp on there being loads of really cool sections where you can see like really far down. Right, so like you'll peer over an edge and you're like, oh yeah, shit, there's like a whole other area that I was in earlier, and it's not a trick either. Like, if you play in co-op and another player is down there, like, you will see them running around, like it's all like happening in real time. So there's little moments like that where you're like, no, this is huge and it's really cool and sort of well designed. And
speaking about the co-op,
yes,
have you played both single player and co-op?
I have.
Do you think it's more designed as a co-op experience, or do you think it works well enough on its own?
I saw, like, so a lot of the reviews were like, there's encounters in this that are definitely built for co-op. Like, it doesn't scale, which is disappointing. Because
I've heard about the scaling. Yeah, the scaling I heard. If someone, I heard it's not good.
Yeah, it's basically,
or there is none.
Basically, non-existent as far as we can tell. There have been I've had encounters that have been difficult, but I mean, nothing that seemed impossible yet. I mean, I'm only sort of 4 hours in, something like that. But yeah, like another player joins you in like the regular encounters, you're just sort of mowing down enemies, pretty much. And then the sort of, the actual sort of like climax of a mission or whatever, that like then gets quite interesting with another player. Whereas playing on your own, they can get really difficult. But I've not been like, oh man, this is definitely just like a co-op game. I've not really felt that way. Again,
that's good.
Like the sort of abilities you get, it's not like, like Destiny or whatever, where there's certain synergies between characters and abilities and stuff. It's pretty much you're both just having like a very good time blasting away at stuff, and occasionally you have to heal each other or whatever. But but there's no sort of, I mean, as far as I've seen so far, there's no sort of coordination of like abilities and stuff. But it is just an incredibly good time running around mowing people down.
How's how's the technical side? Like, is it, because the main thing I've read about in terms of criticism has been about like bugs and crashes and stuff like that. Have you had any of that?
So
at all,
in multiplayer, yes, we've had issues. Single player, I so far, touch wood, it's been absolutely flawless. But yeah, playing it in co-op, we started seeing like enemies, sort of, well, not enemies, like NPCs, like characters in town and stuff, like floating in the air, stuff like that. We like talking to people in shops and stuff would just like not freeze the game, but like you can't do anything with the controller and you'd have to quit out and restart it. So that's been a bit disappointing. But it's just, it's just like it's open world, so you're picking up like main missions and side missions from people in town, and then going out into the world, shooting people, collecting things, and it's just a really good time. It's just really good fun, and I say that the world's just absolutely beautiful. It's really enjoyable just exploring it and just like finding new sections. Obviously, the overall goal is you're trying to get to the top, right, of this, like the top level of this, like this sort of facility stroke city stroke factory that you live in, because that's where the board supposedly are, the board of the Ascent Corporation, and they've gone silent, like they've cut off communications. So you're trying to get all the way up and find out what the hell's going on. And so as you going up through the levels, like obviously things go from like being like, you literally start in essentially the sewers, right? And then you're working your way all the way up to the top, and I gather the aesthetic changes quite a lot as you go. And it's just it's been really good fucking fun. The sound design, oh my god! If you go into the audio menu, and if you're playing with headphones on, you have to do this. There's, like quite typical now, like in sound options, there'll be like headphones mode, TV speakers mode, hi-fi mode, whatever. So this has a mode called indent mode. Indent is the name for like all the people who work for the Ascent Corporation, right? Obviously, the short for like indentured workers, I guess. And there's a mode. It's called indent mode, and it's absolutely unreal. It's like it's really hard to describe. It's just the most like intense like sound experience I've had in a game ever. I can only assume, like, it feels like this is how they originally wanted it to sound, and then someone said, like, you've got to fucking tone this down, it's going to drive people insane, right? It's like you put it in indent mode and it's like everything's loud, right? It's like the whole like every sound you hear has like been normalized so that it's like everything's like fucking really in your face, and it feels like there's loads of extra sound effects, just like environmental noises, just like people just shouting in the distance, or like glass smashing and stuff, and it is really intense. I probably couldn't do the entire game with it switched on, but it's an incredible experience for a bit, and it's just that sense of like, oh yeah, this is what it would actually sound like if I had to live in this sort of horrific, like cramped, falling apart, fucking dying city. It's incredible. It's absolutely fascinating and well worth turning that on, at least for a bit. I'd read in some reviews that apparently the story's not much cop overall so far. I've really enjoyed a lot of the characters and the writing and stuff. Like I say, like your initial boss is just a really interesting character because he just comes across as a total dick, and yet when things go bad, his first priority is like, how do we keep everyone fed and clothed and like make sure there's fresh water supplies. Like he totally turns to this role of like being a sort of like a municipal sort of function rather than just being a guy who gives you your jobs. And that's been really interesting. And there's just loads of like likable characters in it. Yeah, like I say, I'm in about 4 or 5 hours in.
Good.
I'm having a really good time. I would like really recommend it, especially as I say, if you were thinking, I'm not really up for an RPG. It's it barely is one. It's just a really good shooter, but played from obviously like a slightly different perspective. It's great.
Cool. That
Nice.
sounds
yeah,
good.
It was a pretty insane week on Game Pass on Xbox. So obviously, Death Store wasn't Game Pass, but Xbox and PC. And then in one evening, I downloaded this, Last Stop, Flight Sim.
Yeah.
I had like the Halo Alpha as well.
Big week.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah,
It's
it's
and there's so
going to
much
get better
good
and
stuff.
better, that stuff.
Yeah, there's more stuff coming over the next couple of months as well. It's like when I look at my list of stuff that I'm interested in, it's pretty much all on Game Pass. Like over the next couple of months, really. It's mad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that
in
shit's
August,
crazy.
there's Lemnis Gate.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's that.
Is that on Game
that's
Pass?
out. I mean, yeah, Game Pass August 3rd. So
shit.
by the time this podcast comes out, Hades, obviously, we played it. 12 Minutes is on late August. Aliens,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Firestorm,
that.
Elite, Psychonauts 2,
Yeah.
all Game Pass.
The Game Pass is incredible. It's
Absolutely
incredible.
ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, but that's it. Well, that's what we've been planning this week. We could mention Operation Tango, but I didn't want to spend 15 minutes hearing about how James hasn't got an opinion before he goes, hang on a minute. No, I have got an opinion. Sorry about that. I have got it right here. So we won't talk about Operation Tango and completing that this week, but go and watch our stream. Hey, James, they'll enjoy that, won't they?
Thanks, Dave. Yeah.
James,
That's all right.
you didn't mention Poem Monroe. You finished that as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't want to
I
talk
was
about
going to
that.
say, I think he's
Okay,
omitted
we-
that intentionally.
We
Once
won't
again,
talk about
James,
that.
I'm really sorry.
It's all right.
Okay,
It's not your fault, but yeah.
Come on, we need to end the show. We've been going on for ages. Let's get on to questions.
Questions. If you want to send us a question, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Garrison Savannah. Question mainly for James. I've just finished Mass Effect, so I'm looking for something else to start playing, and I was thinking about Yakuza. Played some Zero a while ago on PS4, but I never got too far into it before I got Series S and sold my PS4. I was thinking of starting it again, but I know that if I do, I'll be compelled to play the majority of them, probably without a break like I did with Mass Effect and Andromeda, and I'll want to push for close to 100% on them all, just because of the kind of person I am, so I'm worried about playing nothing else for the next year. I really enjoyed what I played of Yakuza 0, so my question is, am I likely to enjoy Judgment as much? The fact that there's only one entry so far, with the second on the way, and the strong rumours of it appearing on Game Pass are making me think that I should wait and see if it appears. Is it worth waiting to see if it shows up on Game Pass, or should I risk losing the next year of my gaming life to Yakuza?
I mean, I would definitely go for Judgment, honestly, at this stage.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, you're saying a year, it's more than that. Like, if you're going to play through all the Yakuza games, seriously, it's insane. Because each game is at least, like, 30 to 40 hours like in length if you just mainline it. That's not including all the other stuff. I think at this stage, I would definitely go for Judgment. Just because it's a really nice entry into the whole kind of universe without the baggage that you get with the other games. I think I'd go for that. Absolutely.
Cool. Veston Pants. that's Veston.
Okay.
Too hot for
Veston
that.
Pants.
Do you reckon that was like they were writing that thinking this is a real cheeky pun?
This is always I'm gonna fucking get him with this one. Veston Pants asks, "What do you imagine David Cage is up to then?" I don't know.
He's just crying.
He's probably.
Working on
I
another
don't know.
brilliant game, no doubt.
He's
Usual.
mocap in tears.
Oh my god, he is
He's trying to put
He
those
is.
little dots on
on a
tears.
tear.
I reckon that's what's going on
Oh,
now.
I don't care what he's doing next. Shutting up and going away. That'd be nice.
I'm
Sorry,
very interested to know what he's up to now.
Okay, well, I'm
That worry's still beating the drum.
happy for you. Simon Moorcraft.
His next game,
sorry.
you just got to think about what his next game's going to be about. You know, it's
Oh,
got
dread
to
to
be
think.
like the most basic idea, isn't it?
I mean,
like
what?
They usually are.
Comes
aren't
up-
they?
I don't know.
Where he's going to go.
What sort of? I'm trying to think what real life issue. He'll do something about a virus, won't he?
Probably.
It's either that or
Pandemic.
it will be space travel and it will be directly linked to immigration stuff and awfully handled and all that.
It will be one of those things where it'll be
Yeah.
like, from this game, we can ascertain that David Cage is aware of immigration. Yeah, that's
yeah. He's definitely heard of it.
He's heard of it.
And he's Simon.
Oh, the first thing, you see, going back to Sean's initial thought at the first scene of a game, it's like, but if I take this mask off, and it's like they're at like a party where if you take your mask off, then you're endangering people within this party, and it's like, oh, hey, come on. Yeah, we get it.
Simon Moorcraft.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
God, I've said Simon Moorcraft's name like 4 times. He's absolutely like he's that meme of the guy who's like straining at his desk.
God, what's Simon got to say?
It's not really a question, to be honest, but it's quite funny anyway. Evening all, are you monitoring my PSN purchases? I only bought Dark Souls Remastered last week. So thank you for re-releasing Dark Souls. This would be perfect listen through as I play the game through for the first time. Yeah, well, there's loads of really good advice on that show, so I reckon just
don't. Maybe complete the game before you start listening to it. There is dodgy stuff in there.
Follow to the letter.
We're rerunning Dark Souls, which was a show where James had never played Dark Souls before, and he could only get through it by ringing me up and asking me where to go next and what to do. And I had played it a year before and couldn't remember half of it, so hilarity ensued. There were arguments and stuff like that. It sounds like crap because it's supposed to be. I feel like I have to qualify this. It sounds like crap because it's supposed to sound like crap. It's supposed to sound like just someone hitting a record on a player while we're calling each other. So that's a bit. It was quite funny as someone emailed in saying it's weird that the Dark Calls has turned the Skype song into like an intro to a podcast. Like, because now whenever I get a Skype call, I'm thinking this is weird. It's like listening to the theme tune of a show.
People have asked me to put them back online for a long time, and I've had them downloaded for God knows how long, but I finally did it. It took me a long time to upload 38 podcasts and then create YouTube videos for every single one of them.
Oh, fair dues,
and get them all up on the website. But they're ready to go every Friday morning. They'll drop. I mean, I did them weekly because I thought, why not? Even though some people may have the old feed, but some episodes are like 10 minutes long. So
I know. There's some where it's literally just like, Dave, I've just tried doing what you're saying. What? It's not working. Oh yeah, do this. Oh yeah. Cheers. All right, bye.
See you next week.
Right, the next question comes from Norma Stitz.
Okay. Norma Stitz. Okay.
Says, hello boys, hope you're all well. My question is this: as we know, real life is a first-person RPG with photorealistic graphics, lots of NPCs, no save points, and where decisions really do have consequences. But I'd like to know, if you had the choice, would you prefer to live life in third-person mode? You'd still have all the same feelings and senses as you do now, but you'd have control over the camera. I think it'd be useful. It'd make parking the car easier. You'd be able to see if you were being followed. You could appreciate how damn handsome you are, and be able to look around corners for people you don't want to talk to. Anyway, just a thought. Have a great day, and thanks for the show.
Yeah, all that stuff would be incredibly useful.
Undoubtedly,
But looking at myself 24/7,
that'd be exhausting.
You don't want to do that.
Yes, yeah. Look at how handsome you are, and then I just remember that
But then you'd never.
It's not my fault. My eyes are a little bit bulbous.
But then when you put a bit of weight on, and you sort of you don't realise, but then you occasionally catch yourself in a mirror and just like, fuck.
Yeah.
But you would never get that because there would be no surprise in it because you just see yourself all the time.
Yeah, and you'd be constantly going,
no, you wouldn't, because you'd see the slow degradation over time. It wouldn't surprise you. you'd be comfortable with it. It's like like your parents never seem to age because they're just your parents. They just always look the same. It's like
I'm quite happy not looking at myself. To
be
honest,
I'm totally fine. Yeah.
I think all those examples are good. That all sounds great. But then you think about lovemaking.
I was thinking this. I mean, would it be weird, or would it just be like, well, you're doing that and you're essentially directing a film at the same time?
Trying to pad it around.
Work. Sounds like work.
Or, even worse than that, doing a shit. Just sitting there watching yourself do a shit.
You'd put the camera behind you. That's the point, because if you're controlling the camera while you're having sex and you were too grossed out by your own appearance, which, let's face it, that's happening. Yeah. You'd have to you'd be trying to position the camera in front of your face, wouldn't you? So that you don't have to see yourself.
It's like when you try and clip through levels to see if you can see through a wall.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you back the camera up too much, you get that Assassin's Creed thing where you just see the floating eyeballs and lips and. Oh, fucking hell!
Alright, take lovemaking out of it. What about knocking one out? You just see how pathetic you are.
Yeah.
No, you just put up. I'd just get a screen I could put up. Just a little booth you just sit in.
How are you going to be able to see your mobile phone?
Exactly. All the magazine you've got.
You'd have to use imagination all the time.
Maybe you could put it on.
Fuck that.
No, you could put it on the telly nearby and pan the camera around.
On the telly.
On this.
You're saying, you're going to have to angle a mirror and all that kind of thing, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a whole thing, isn't it?
Oh, God.
I think I've changed my mind. Yeah. I think I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Great question. I'd love
God's
to give
design
it a go for a
was
day.
correct all along.
Driving down a motorway would be fucking wicked doing it in that way, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hang on. You wouldn't be able to see what you were doing in the car. You wouldn't be able to see where all the.
Yeah, but you don't need to, do you? You just hold down the accelerator button.
No, there's no control. No, you still have to move your arms and legs and everything as you would.
Yeah,
you would now.
It'd feel like that sort of shit, wouldn't it? You
I'll
just
definitely
get
get
used
an
to
automatic
that,
car then.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know about this third-person business.
No, I think it's good. I think we should give it a go.
I have.
No, let's give it a go. I agree. Yes,
try it out.
Let's give it a go.
But the thing is,
because it is an option, obviously.
If this was an
sounds
option,
like it's an option, and I'm up for it.
If this was an option, it would just completely change the way everything was designed, right? Like cars wouldn't. All cars would not have a roof on them because what if the driver's third person?
But then you just get soaking wet.
Well, that's your problem, mate. You're the one who's going third person. I'm sticking with first.
But no,
also,
I'm definitely sticking with first because of the wanking and shitting thing. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Also, when you want to say, I'd love to try my Oculus Quest 2. On their way.
I'm sure he's having a great time.
Put something on which I can't control, can't see.
And then the moment you take it off, you're like, what's all that red shit around my eyes there? Like, should have used the silicone, baby.
Sunglasses, thing of the past. No need.
Yeah, that's good. I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, seeing actually turning around walking away from someone after you've had a conversation with them and seeing their little reaction after you fuck all that. No, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Fuck that. I don't want any of that shit.
No.
Just give me good old first person, baby.
Yeah, no, but if you're in meetings, when people used to have meetings and work in real life, you could if you're in a room with loads of other people, you can spin your camera around to see what's on their screens.
That's true.
Yeah, but on the flip side, Matt, me getting my vasectomy, I just looked at a ceiling. Third person, I'm looking at someone cut open my balls.
You could pan the camera.
You could just angle the camera away. I was going
to say you could angle the camera to get essentially a first-person view of the guy doing the operation.
Yeah, but even fuck that. Even if you angle it away, it's still rotating around your body, right? You're still the focal point, so it's still going to be a worse view.
You can do a thing where you can move around so you don't actually see what's in front of the character.
No, but even if you've positioned it behind the surgeon's back, you're still seeing their little arms going. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like, oh my god. No, thank you. I don't like this idea. Stop it.
No.
Would you use it to see what your own bumhole looks like?
I'll give it a go.
Was that your first thought?
Wouldn't you need to? Do you need 2 minutes?
I
suppose you put a mirror on the floor, couldn't you?
I have a bumholes, isn't it?
You could put a mirror on the floor and do it that way.
The really lame things you could do, like after you get your hair cut in the barbers and the barber pulls that little mirror out and puts it behind you, just go, don't worry, mate.
Yeah, no need.
Don't worry about that, mate. No need for that.
Because you'd be offering critique throughout, wouldn't you? She'd be like, no. Do this bit. You've left this bit.
You missed a bit.
Because you could see the front bit that they do, and you don't do that.
That's true, yeah. And even when they do show you the back, you just go, nod, and even if you hate it, yeah, cheers, thank you.
So yes, it's good. It's great.
It would be good for people watching though. When you're around the pool on a holiday and you watch people, you do that, right? Everyone does that. You just still watch what people are doing and stuff. You could just like lay on your stomach pretending to sunbathe, and you just be like, "Oh, I wonder what's going on over there." Ooh, they're having an argument.
No one would know.
They're having an argument.
Yeah,
that'd be good. But the rest of it, awful. No, I don't want this.
MD Kraboffs says, "What's one thing that can instantly make your day better?"
Oh, bit of chocolate.
I was going to say
chocolate biscuit.
Biscuits, mate.
Yeah. Biscuit.
I was the other night. I said to Noo, I was like, I'm going to go to the shop. She's like, "Oh, I'll come." I said, "I'm going to get a pack of biscuits and eat them all, I think." And she's like, "Oh, why?" And I said, "Because I feel a bit rubbish and it'll make me feel better."
yeah. Biscuits is a good one. Money is a good one.
Money's good,
isn't it?
Patreon.com/TCGS.
Yeah, if you want to make our days better.
Charlie shouting jinx. That made me laugh.
That was very funny.
Instantly made my day better this morning.
That was very funny, yeah. That was a good video.
Good. Thank you.
What else?
Sorry, Matt.
I think just going out to get coffee that's a day improver right there.
Post-COVID,
you haven't got a coffee machine?
No, I probably should do.
Yeah, man, get a fucking Tassimo or some shit.
Oh,
or
fuck
an
that.
espresso.
Get a proper one. Yeah.
No, don't start with all that. I hate people that do that. The one I've got's better. They're coffee machines, man. Just get whatever you
That's
want.
the thing, Dave. If I start doing that, before you know it, I would have bought like a £600 one with all the various...
don't do it.
Go full Matt Murray. All I will say
are like
is,
£40.
Obviously, the auto ones are fine. I think I've said this before, but the hours I spent making coffees at work, I was like, I just want that skill to continue.
If you've got a proper coffee maker, brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think, just
shut up.
Like
it's the headphones thing, isn't it?
Ruining the planet.
It's the headphones thing.
Yes, it is the headphones thing. 100%. It's the mobile phones thing. Yeah. What mobile should I get? The one that I've got. It's like, all right, okay. Sorry, Matt.
I work. We got a nice coffee machine. It's it's really good, but it doesn't beat the experience of just going to Starbucks and say, "I like a coffee."
No, that's still better, but then it's also like way cheaper. Like fucking £4 a coffee is like insane at the moment. Yeah. All right, Matt, James.
I don't know. I can't think of anything that makes me feel better during the day.
News story, Google Stadia news story.
Yeah,
that does definitely cheer me up when I see something like that. Something to do with Stadia, that's always good. I mean,
nice bit of negativity in my day. That's what I need. It just pokes me right up.
Things going wrong for people you don't like.
Yeah,
it's always a good one.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, went up for that. Yeah,
went up for that.
Jen, you won't believe it. You won't believe it.
What, James? What's that smile for? Stadia have just announced that they're releasing a game that's been out for ages.
I tried to explain Stadia to Chen, but she just was not interested at all.
Fair enough. Same
Trying
goes
to explain
for
why it was funny,
most people.
Yeah.
Right, last one from Mike, not Matt Murray. Did Matt go out and buy some Air Force Ones this week?
No, I should have done.
Yeah, what's this about?
You slagged off my Air Force Ones.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, right.
Last week, didn't you?
No. The funny thing about this question is that Matt Morley's brother is called Mike Morley. So
maybe it is.
Either that's incredible coincidence, or it's actually Mike Morley, or someone who knows.
Where's Morley coming into it?
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. But
Mike, not Matt Murray.
I read that as actually Mike, not Matt Morley. Anyway,
it's great because that's such like a dad, like an old dad thing. Yeah, no, that's actually really interesting because Matt Morley's brother was actually called Mike. Yeah, no, we said Murray, Matt. Oh, right. Okay, that's not the same.
Is it? Dad,
not a fan of the Air Force One. Right, let's get onto the socials then.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, there's no streams this week unless someone pops up. Unless, actually, James, you do have something in mind for Friday's stream.
I can't because, there's family things going on, so I can't do it.
Okay, cool. So no streams this week.
No, I don't think
that's
so.
correct. If you want to watch James's Poe and Monroe
don't do that.
stream, that's going to be on YouTube soon, and also you can watch the finale of Dave and James playing Operation Tango. They may not be live streams, but you can still give us a subscription, particularly if you have Amazon Prime, in which case you have Prime Gaming and you have one free subscription a month. Please go over to our channel. We really appreciate it. Maybe we'll inspire us to do more streams. You go over to our channel, give us your free sub. We'd love that. And on Patreon, as Dave mentioned at the beginning, patreon.com/TCGS for exclusive podcasts every month, talks over, and you can support the show in any way you see fit over there. And the website is tcgs.co with links to our amazing Discord, other social channels, and also Dark Calls. We're doing the rerun. It's the old episodes we're putting out every Friday. The first 2 episodes are out now. Every Friday morning, new episode up. You have to go. It's not on this feed. It's on a new feed. So please go and search for Dark Calls on any of your podcast services. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please go and leave us a review. It really makes a huge difference to us because it's a new feed, new show, new show.
We were top 10 on the iTunes charts this week, which is mad for a show that was recorded in 2015. So thanks to everyone that did subscribe.
Please go up, please subscribe, please tell your friends, please leave reviews, and that's that. Thank you.
And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for living it. We will be back next week with even more chat about the video games. Goodbye, everyone.
Are we doing video games again next week?
Very soon.
Not do something else.
The show title.
I want to talk about third-person cameras again.
We've kind of pigeonholed ourselves as a computer game podcast these days, mainly by the title of the show.
One thing I didn't want to happen.
This has backfired massively.
Good boy.
Bye.
Good boy.
Goodbye.